welcome to. I got to put the chat up. Gorilla Radio number 197. 197, good college weight. We would have been cool to, do our favorite wrestlers for that weight.
Oh, man, that'd have been a good little countdown, huh?
Yeah, but we're already, next one we can do is like 215, so.
I got some favorite 215s.
Yeah, so maybe that's what we'll rank next year. So yes, I need to we are live, and we're going to talk Fort Wayne. We're going to see how tonight goes, and possibly, hopefully we can get through 2. If not, we will go tomorrow night. So, not much pre-show. Nothing happened. Nothing crazy happened. Did it?
No, we just catching up about some stuff, some different rumors and things like that, but nothing too crazy.
Yeah. So we can get right in to talking Fort Wayne semi-state. We'll do a little bit of recap of the
regionals.
The regionals. Let me pull those up. Website seems to be fully propagated. We're back to the OG name, Indiana Matt.
Dude, this is the original shirt.
Yes, you got your number 2 shirt. Got John Hutchin here.
I mean, it looks a little aged. It's been in my drawer.
Let's see. So the website is 15. That's like 13 years old. That shirt. So that's pretty old. So we're gonna. I could even bring up these brackets. Not even the brackets. Let me share my screen. We'll go Jay County, the week sectional.
Is that the week sectional out there?
The week regional, according to our friend Mr. Maligned.
Oh yeah, I heard about this. I got some text about this.
Yes. Let's see.
I don't really have any kind of influence. I mean, if you want to help get voted in, like I can help you with that, but man, I can't really do anything about the way the regionals are set up and the quality of that. It's not really my bag,
Never mind. That doesn't look good. Okay. We'll just talk about it. So Jay County won by Belmont.
The Braves, let's go. I bet it was a good Dane and Rex show on WZBD this week.
Yes. So, I'm sure they were celebrating their, 36, 38 or something. It's a high number. It was just, they just posted it. It's quite, they've won quite a few regionals. Second only to Mater Dei.
They're a pretty good program.
Yeah, for a long time. So they beat Delta by 8 points. Delta still favored in the power poll, and it's going to be interesting to see how things shake out that way. Reed Wicker over Jackson Webb at 106, 113. K Jackson over Griffin Byram. I guess I might as well just link it right there so I look like I'm actually looking at you guys. Got 120, Aiden Bollinger. Good match. Aiden Bollinger over Levi Johns.
It ended up being a major, 13-3. It's pretty. Yeah. Aiden Bollinger is so good.
Yeah. Going to IU. Johns, man, he seems like he's been around forever. Always in the mix. Has a state medal. Got a tough draw. It's going to be interesting to see if he can punch his ticket again. Dakota Sprunger. That's the one you put in late in the rankings.
I did. He held up.
He looked good.
Oh man, I was gonna talk so much trash to my boy Sprunger too. But holding it down, man. Replaced Kale Beer late. I guess he had a win over him.
Yeah, I think he's beaten Beer about 16 times now this year.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Sam Mosier over Will Patterson. Dylan Aug over Henry Farrell. That's a real big match for him. They got Farrell has a real tough take around match we'll talk about. Wyatt Hoppus.
That's a pretty good weight too. Ashton Gooney, a real tough freshman.
Oh yeah,
Cowan.
Yep. So that's a real good weight. Obviously, like you said, Wyatt Hoppus over AJ Heskett at 144. Bryson at 150. Brayson Shortgen over Sam Wolpert. That's a good match. Shortgen's wrestling real well. Man, Adams Central has some really good young kids. Shortgen's a sophomore. Og's a sophomore.
Man, I was talking with someone about I was talking with Brian Bell about small programs, and I was thinking man, I wonder if we get an Adams Central just kind of say how they do it because I feel like they're always super strong with like a smaller school.
Yeah, they always produce. And last year was the first time in, I'd have to go look at that article again, but it was 25 plus years they had a state qualifier every year, which that's hard to do for any program, but they had like this third or fourth longest streak, and it ended last year. They had some tough matches in the ticket round. Uh, but that's pretty impressive for a small school, especially that size. By far, they've in a public school, and they can't. No one's. I hate to say there's no way to recruit. No one's going to Monroe for to get like, hey, I'm in Fort Wayne. I'm going to go to Monroe for school. Sorry, but that's good. All they do a great job. Obviously, it's all of Adams County. Curry does a great job, yes, and the coaches before him, Barry, Humble, Schwartz, and there's been a lot of really good coaches throughout the years there, and pretty good tradition there. Probably
Flying Jets.
Yeah,
that's a pretty good name.
Yeah, they have a pretty strong tradition, and yes, and they're always good at football. So, Gavin Davis over Jeremiah Olam of Monroe Central. That's a good match. Olam light drop to 165. He's big. I'm interested to see him in person this weekend, but Davis is not small, but I think Olam might dwarf him. Bury the boots. I have a real good picture of someone, a former wrestler of his, in the boots, but I don't think it'd be appropriate for me to show it. Because Barry would probably come after him with the Spurs. 175, Gabe Stebbins. Get a lefty fastball over Wesley Hendrickson.
I know, man. Then I'm going to follow Delta baseball this summer.
Yeah, I'm going to have to see if he can strike out Rocco. Actually, I just want to see if he can throw a strike against Rocco. Rocco's strike zone's about the size of a cell phone.
Well, I think we're gonna try to do that show later. Matthew Baylor, make it out.
Jason, try restarting devices to. That's the way I get everything I've gotten. Gives me the right website. So, yeah, hopefully it should be. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer, but everything I have seen has me pointing to the right places. So give the cookies to Max and then they'll be cleared. So 190 Xavier Palacios over AJ Myers. Good to see Myers having a solid season. Palacios, I think we talked about that a while ago, and he's had a real kind of sneaky good season this year, and I'd expect him to make the podium.
Yeah,
at state. So 215 Luke Powers over Wyatt Roach, and then heavyweight Grady Baker Belmont over Cortez White.
Huge upset first round, right?
Yeah, there are a lot of really good sophomore, junior heavyweights in Fort Wayne. And there's a junior one that's really good that's not even in Fort Wayne anymore.
Yeah.
So
he came out to heavyweight you out here.
Yes.
I mean, a huge win first round for Cortez White of Muncie Central. AJ Bradley trained over Alan Ortiz in sudden victory.
Yeah, that was one of the bigger ones early on, taking out Ortiz. Ortiz had a win over Caleb Evans last year at Semi-State and had a real good year so far, and didn't get it done there. And that's not a fun match to go home early on. Ortiz still a junior too. Man, how these heavyweights get all these extra years of eligibility? So, next one on my list is Goshen. Let's see. Northridge won there over Angola and East Noble. Pretty wide open team race there. Carter Shehog of Angola over Adley Yoder of Northridge at 106. Charlie Fleshman, returning state qualifier, over Alex De La Cruz, a little NECC action there. Quinel Gabriel, and I believe the coach at the Lakeland does not like to spell the name the same way every time. Over Cole Carper, is a good win for him. Cameron Center and was third, and Keelan Fuller from East Noble was fourth. So pretty deep weight class. The two sophomores are in the finals, so that's pretty good. Pretty solid weight class there at 120.
Sorry, I'm still catching up on the bracket here.
Okay. Dane Pippinger of East Noble over Gavin Chrisman of West Noble at 126. Cameron Straw, Angola third. Drew Walden.
I feel like Angola always has some really good guys.
Yeah, they have a pretty solid team right now. And they qualified. How many people? They got quite a few guys out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They got 5 guys out, 2 champs. So they had a real good day there, and they have a real solid team right now. And I think they're all fairly young. 132, Drew Walden, undefeated at the stellar 9-0. Going to get his 10th match in Saturday.
I think it was his third regional title too. That it was a third or fourth. I'm super happy that he's back. Obviously, like you never want to see anyone lose this season to injury, but he was able to come back from that injury and then be able to compete at the high level that he's competing at. I think is pretty impressive. Yeah. Angola should have been the 1A. They're tough. I mean, it was the 1A.
They're too big for 1A. So, yeah, they could have done damage at 1A. I definitely agree, but they're not 1A. They're 2A. I think they're 2A.
Nick Duke, man, I expected more from him. He's supposed to be a wrestling encyclopedia. If they're not 1A, I'm going to be so disappointed.
No, they're not even close. They're the size of Garrett, if not bigger. Come on, Nick. Jeez. Those Kokomo kids. So, yeah, Drew Walden over Quentin Kingendelayan. And I know I butchered your name. Probably not no worse than your coach does. Andrew Wilson, East Noble over Aiden Hartman of Jimtown.
Man, he's in here like let's get an enunciation on that. Yeah. That K and J together, what does that make? Is it just a J? Gendelin?
I don't hear Watkins. I want to see his enunciation of this. Hey, you.
Yeah, the big guy? Or
Kevin Watkins. The coach of Lakeland. So 144, Brody Hagwood of Prairie Heights over Jersey Slayball of Northridge. 150, Dallas Davison, Angola over Drew Trigg of Concord. Matthew Sen, Fairfield was third.
John Dellin. I thought that, yep, K silent. I knew it. Dude, I don't get them all right, but every now and again.
So, yeah, I bet Kevin just calls him Q because he probably can't even pronounce Quentin. It's that Michigan education. So 157, Brock Hagwood over Blake Denman, Angola. Porter Kleberg over
that's a good weight.
Owen Lundy, another good deep weight. There, Tegan Klaus, returning state qualifier, West Noble over Chase McClellan of East Noble, or Elkhart, sorry. Riley Biddle, another good weight, was third. Dominic Dunn, DeKalb over Brandon Whitker of East Noble. Dallas Plattner of Elkhart. Man, I keep saying Elkhart. And Dallas Plattner of East Noble was third. And Austin King of Northwood was fourth. So there's some pretty deep weight classes there.
I was able to see Austin King at Al Smith. He was pretty good. He's a pretty good junior.
That's going to be a tough out for a 4 or for a 1 right there.
Northwood.
Fort Wayne.
Northridge closed it out pretty good.
Yeah. Northridge, Austin Parks over Brecken Moran of Fairfield, and then Travis Hankey stays undefeated. Derek Morrison's had a real good season here, and then Brady King, Brady Long, another 4 pretty solid regional there. I'm curious how many of these guys they get out because they have some top end guys, but they don't have their middle tier is really thick. They have a lot of good guys right in that middle tier that could knock off some guys, and it's interesting to see how deep some of these weights are. Brody Streeter over Dawson Bowmer of Concord. So, and Bryson Davis and Kyle Sommer, another, 285 is pretty deep in Fort Wayne. It's kind of heavyweight U. We still claim a lot of good heavyweights.
Man, they've had a good run. They've had a good run on heavyweights the last couple of years.
And we got to claim Forrester because he grew up in Auburn. So, we're going to claim him.
I heard there wasn't enough weights there. He had to get out of there.
Yeah. They, he grew up in the mean streets of DeKalb County. That's where all the cool people hang out, from what I've heard. Let's go Carroll, Fort Wayne.
That's where you were, right?
Yes, I was there. Team race kind of thought was going to be a little bit closer. Garrett, obviously, I thought they had a little bit of chance if they wrestled real well and the other teams kind of stumbled. Obviously, right out of the gate, they lost a pretty big point score, so they were out of it.
Yeah, that's a tough one too. Obviously, not to get into the super. They lost two of their biggest point scorers. Not to get into the weight cutting thing, but I was really impressed with Swarthwood at Al Smith. I thought he was going to be a semifinalist. I thought all four of the champs coming out of the, possible champs. They're not champs yet, but the possible champs coming out of the semi-states could have met up in the semis.
Yeah.
I thought he wrestled Verduzco really well. I was super impressed. I'm really disappointed that we will get to see him at state finals. Hopefully his weight cutting days are behind him, and now his weightlifting days are ahead of him.
Yeah. So after that happened, you knew New Haven and Homestead kind of battled it out, and Homestead first round they won 13-1, which is pretty darn impressive. They had 3, 4, 5 kind of toss-up matches, maybe not exactly 50-50s, but 60-40 matches that I was like, you're going to lose a couple. You think you assume where I'm sitting, you're going to lose a couple. Obviously, Andy and the crew were saying, no, we're not going to lose any. But I'm like, they're the statistics say you're going to lose a couple of those. You might drop one of them, might get thrown to your back, and for 7. But they came out, they wrestled well, kind of just built on that momentum. New Haven didn't wrestle poorly by any means. They 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They got 8 guys out, 1, 2, 3, with 4 champs. That's a pretty good day. 140 points is going to win a lot of regionals. I was going back and forth with Nick a little bit. I said 150 is probably going to be the magic now. I said 160 will win it. I said you might be able to get away with 150. That's pretty close there. Obviously, Homestead with 194. It was midway through that semifinal round. Actually, New Haven was ahead, but I was like, Homestead just had too many guys, too many horses in the race, and when you have 13-8, there's almost no way that they can, unless everyone just gets 4th. There's almost no way that they could have lost there.
It's been a good year for Homestead. Obviously, the year's not over, but they've had a really good year. They're in some really good events. They were the late ad to Team State, and they competed well. So congratulations to Andy and that program and all the guys working hard to make that, happen. They have a good amount of seniors, right?
Yeah, they have a decent amount of seniors. It'll be interesting how they fill in. I know they have some pretty solid JV kids that are fill in. It's a matter of some guys growing a little bit. It's just like, it's the problem. A lot of the schools have the top 10, 15 schools. They got to make sure people grow and everything. So, so it'll be interesting how that goes on. Obviously, they won. That was their first regional championship in school history for wrestling.
Oh man, congratulations.
So them and a couple others, I can't think of them offhand, but I did put it on the post. So kind of what happened there individually. Juliana Ocampo looking real good over Joey Warner.
Joey Warner's probably going to be happy not to wrestle any female wrestlers in the state tournament.
His only 2 losses are to Kroll and Ocampo. So
Ocampo and Kroll, the last 2 undefeated 106 in the state.
Yes. So
pretty impressive.
So yeah, Campbell got off a 5-0 lead off a Fireman's in the first period, and then Joey got out in the second period, and then he rode her in the third period. So not after the first period, there wasn't a whole lot of action. But obviously, she really wasn't in danger from what I could tell of getting scored on. So that 5-1 was pretty safe lead, and she's going to have to possibly run it back against him this week. Reed Wicker's also thrown in the mix too. So
Yeah, I mean, we kind of skimmed out of that. Reed Wicker's pretty tough.
Yeah.
He's been really impressive. So I'm interested to see how that matchup goes.
Yeah,
but
me too.
Ocampo's obviously killing it, man. 44-0. Doesn't matter what your schedule is. Doesn't matter. Returning medalist, 44-0, number one ranked in the state. You know, everyone's giving her their best shot.
Yeah.
That's a good weight class. Ramon Sierra, real good junior from Garrett. Had a real good Al Smith and Camden Rapol. Another good freshman. So that's a pretty solid 4.
Yeah, and three of them will be back, so they're going to be battling it out. Rapol, obviously, his uncle coaches at Carroll, so that's a fun little fun rivalry there. So 113, Bakari Cooper over Drew Heisler. Cooper's a big 13-pounder, and he's gonna be trouble. Heisler, obviously, a real good freshman, taking some losses, but still wrestling real well. So that was a real good finals match there. Then you had 120, Caleb Asa Garrett, freshman over senior Timmy Rocha, 3-2, real good, another good match.
Another guy I thought at Al Smith I thought wrestled really well was Caleb Asa. I know Timmy Rocha's have a really good season. Only his third loss, tight match.
Yeah, Asa, obviously putting himself in a little better position. Jackson Rising Homestead over Chase Bricky, and overtime. That was a crazy. He got a late. Did he get a late takedown or late reversal? I think, and to tie it up, and then got a takedown real quick in overtime to win that one. Cameron Baker over Sean Harris. That he got a late takedown on the edge. Originally was not called, and refs kind of conferred and called it a takedown. Ended up, it's kind of interesting because from my angle, I saw Baker was out of bounds, but Harris was in bounds. So if one person's in bounds, he has and so Baker ended up with that takedown. Real good match, and congrats to Baker, put himself in a good position. Harris is tough.
Yeah,
only his second loss of the year, so he'll be in the mix for punching his ticket also. So they might meet up again this week. 132, Hunter Douglas over Noah Dove. Dove's a real solid freshman from Eastside, and he's taken some tougher losses at 132, but he's going to be one to keep your eye on. I think Eastside has a couple of good young guys there, and one to watch. Douglas obviously having a real good junior year.
Yes,
sometimes state qualifier. So
yeah, I think he's having a really good year. He had a really good summer. I think he's going to be in the mix for a pretty high medal for Homestead.
Yeah, and then there's a lot of good freshmen out of Fort Wayne in the Carroll Regional. Like I always said, Dove at 132, runner up. There's also freshman Lathan James qualified it there. Deacon Rhodes, I think he's a junior. That is the Homestead kids. What's his dad's name or his brother's name? That's his brother, Drake. Yeah, it's Drake Rhodes' brother. So he doesn't have quite as many losses as Drake. Usually Drake at this time had about 18 losses, and they're all significant. So 138, Malachi Tholner over Lane Snyder. Tholner is a really good freshman, and making them move down to 138 was probably a real good move for him.
Yeah, I think the weight overall is pretty good. Lane Snyder's really good. Carter Kraus, guy has only 2 losses in the state tournament so far. Pretty dangerous wrestler for Snyder. And then Jordan Rains, I thought looked really good at Team State. Had some tough matches.
Yeah, he'll battle. He's gonna keep getting better. 145, Kende Kwa over Tanner Ellis. Anthony Guerrero a third. Kwa's wrestling real well and definitely could punch his ticket for Snyder there. He had a real good Al Smith too, I think.
Yeah, Kenny Coy is really tough.
Yeah. Battle of undefeated wrestlers at 150. Easton Doster over Lincoln Carter. Pretty good match. Doster just kind of stayed patient the whole match and ended up getting a reversal and then I think a takedown. That doesn't look right. I thought he got 2 takedowns. Maybe he got a stall call. I'd have to look at it, but he kind of just set third period just kind of wore on Carter, kind of just kept pressing forward and ended up getting a takedown.
Okay, Brody Harkat said the future's bright and it's tough because you guys are really the best semi-state.
Got the Fort Wayne fans are passionate.
Yeah, they are. We have a lot of good Fort Wayne fans.
So 150, Brian Barrett over Ben Hartzell. Barrett having a real good year, putting himself in good position there. 165, Carson Godinez of Homestead over August Adams of Carroll. 175, Jake Thrash over Jackson Litchfield, another freshman. Litchfield's pretty solid from Heritage. He's going to be one to watch in the next couple of years. And then you also have Paul Woods, who's a sophomore at 175. His dad was pretty good wrestling too. 190, Job Richmond, sophomore over freshman John Bear. So a lot of young guys. So hopefully they continue to work and get better because this might be the tougher regional in a year or two. 215, Ethan Leal over Savacion Harris of Northside.
I like that name. Savacion.
Yep. And then Aiden Hunt Garrett was third. Then 285, another deep weight class, Caleb Evans over Kuhlman. Kuhlman got a takedown early and put him to his back. Evans fought off, and then Evans got revenge, put him to his back. I don't know how it wasn't a pin in the first period, and then he ended up later putting him on his back and pinning him. Good match there. Charles McGrant over Jacob Reynolds for third. So pretty deep weight class there.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously Evans and Coleman probably going to run it back. There's a good chance they can run it back this week. I mean, you never know with heavyweights and draws and all that, but tough. Coleman had a tough one right off the bat with Braden Lomer.
Lothar, yeah, that was Lothar. Coleman said, "I'm not going to mess around." He just locked up I can't remember if it was a bear hug or what, but he just locked it up and put him to his back and said, "I'm not going to mess around with you today, buddy." Kind of big brothered him a little bit. Lothamer's real tough. He has a win over. Lothamer has a win over Max Amberger, the state qualifier. So he has some pretty solid wins. Only a 2-0 loss to Evans earlier in the season. So he's as good as anyone in that bracket. Unfortunately, they only take 4. So he's going to be paying for a ticket to state, semi-state. And he's going to be one to watch out, especially you got Kuhlman and Reynolds, both juniors, still coming back. And some other good guys. So they're going to be battling out for another year.
And some of those 215s were pretty big. I could see some of those guys sliding up to heavyweight also.
Yeah. Should be pretty interesting to see. You want to talk about Peru, so I don't have to talk the whole time?
Yeah. I mean, this is your regional, man. This is your home.
My home.
I mean, overall,
you need me to send the link to Duke, and he can talk about the Peru regional.
Yeah,
home away from home.
I mean, let me look at the teams first. So North Miami North Miami's been having a really good year over Mechanical. Kind of far, 136 to 82. Northfield is a third. A lot of these teams are in the mix for team state and some of the voting stuff. So I'm sure they'll be well represented next year. At 106 pounds, Ari Schrock of Mechanical over Hunter Duncan of North Miami, 8'2". I know Schrock was a guy that was right on the mix for the watch list. Especially at the end when I was trying to add 106 pounders, it's always tough because you never know where those guys are going to be at starting off. Real good one here, good weight overall, but a real good one right off the bat at 113. Rex Moore over Ian McVicker. Tech fall, Rex Moore, real tough, 43-1. McVicker having a great season, 40-2. Second loss, his other loss was at the Spartan Classic. He had a huge win over Brady Harper. Manny Mora having a good year for Oak Hill, third there. A lot of tech falls there. 120, Braylon McIntyre staying undefeated over Jordan Owens. 17-0 tech fall. McIntyre wrestled real well. I mean,
Yeah, he's having a
obviously, we
real good
talked
year.
about it with Ocampo. You find 40 people, doesn't matter what schedule you wrestle, 40-0 is 40-0. 126, one of the best names in the state from Marion, Hickson Love. AJ Bradley's picked to make some noise in the sleeper picks. Saw that on the page over Jordan Cork. Jordan Cork having a good season, 38-2. That's a huge win for Hickson Love. Who's Hickson Love's lost to?
Let me find it.
39-1. I know I had him on the watch list, or he's in the rankings at 32. So being in the mix at 26, kind of looking at the draws when the brackets came out, I think he put himself in a pretty good spot.
His losses to Sean Harris, 6-4.
Sean Harris having a pretty good year. We just talked about Sean Harris.
Yes.
Another good name here at 132. Trip Hazley, Madison Grant over my guy Deuce Baldwin, Peru. I like the we kind of said at the Al Smith. The Baldwin's always like show out at the Al Smith and wrestle really well. Deuce having a real good season. 41-6. I believe he lost to Schmittendorf twice at the Al Smith. But
where's he at? Yes, he lost us. Yep, 10-6, 16-6, and Warren Brown.
So all pretty legit guys. I mean, there's not any bad guys there. 138, Liam Baumgartner of Western. I feel like he's been in high school for a long time too. Really impressive. We got to see him at Al Smith also over Christian Damewood of Kokomo by fall in 54 seconds. Baumgartner's always been a guy that I've kind of thought he's kind of been in some tough spots where I think they've been pretty stacked in that area. So this is kind of his time to show out. 144, Cameron Pratt of Northfield over Corbin Gauchard of Wabash. 5-4 tight match in the finals. Gabe Newland, fourth there from Kokomo. I know he was a Harvest Classic champ a couple years ago. Eric Hunt, Jr., beat him. I'm not as familiar with those guys. I'm not going to lie. 150, a guy that I've been pushing, and I think I had him higher in the rankings than Caleb did. Elijah Gull of Northfield, 44-0 sophomore over Riley King, North Miami by fall. I always thought Gall had pretty good kid results coming up. I don't think he had probably the freshman season that he was looking to have. I think he had, a handful of losses, but having a really good sophomore year, it looked like he had a pretty good tough draw at the semi-state. So I'm sure we're about to get into that. I know that not looking past anyone, but the ticket round match there could be pretty tough. 157, Evan Oglesby of Mechanical over Aiden Houghton of Wabash. Grant Howard of Madison Grant, third there. I know he's been in the rankings. Tech fall in the finals. 165, Jose Cortez of Manchester. And Sean Caldwell of Marion, 355 fall. Man, some of the finals and the regionals go pretty quick. I mean, not just Fort Wayne, but like when we were doing East Chicago yesterday too. 175, Jordan Simon of North Miami over Cody Dowden of Tri-Central. Is Jordan Simon in the – I think Cody Dowden's in the rankings. I don't know if Jordan Simon is, but he should have been. 38-4 and 36-3 by fall. I feel like North Miami closes pretty well.
Yeah, they have a real good – they close real well.
At 190 pounds, champ Ethan Farnell of Mechanical, returning state medalist, 43-0. Ranked very highly at 190 pounds. 190 stacked overall. Gunner's got a couple losses out of state, but Farnell's gonna be right in the mix. He's tough to wrestle. Over RJ Trevino of Oak Hill. I know RJ Trevino's in the rankings also. It's only his second loss of the season.
Trevino's both his losses are to Farnell.
So he'll maybe rematch it next week or this weekend. Yeah, North Miami is legit. Another North Miami wrestler at 215, Hartley Hoover, avenging his only loss of the season. I think he avenged it last week too, over Austin Riggleson of Mechanical and sudden victory, 5-2. Boston Caldwell, Madison Grant, also in the rankings, a senior 41-2. So 5 losses between the 3 of those guys. It's pretty tough regional.
They're all Caldwell. Ringelson's all to Hoover. Caldwell is to Ringelson, and I don't have the other.
I think Hartley Hoover's is to Rigelson, right?
Yeah.
Hoover's to Rigelson. Rigelson's are to Hoover, and Caldwell's are to Rigelson.
Yeah, I only have one of Caldwell's losses. Is that right? Yeah.
I'm sure those guys would be happy to be separated next week. If they're wrestling each other next week, I'm sure they'll be a little bit more excited.
Yeah.
And then at 285, even though I think he got a pretty tough draw, unfortunately, he's really tough. His only loss is to Cameron Hazlett. Trevi Hillman Conley, 45-1. Patrick Kinney at Tri-Central, 42-2 junior, injury default 30 seconds. I hadn't heard what happened. Hopefully he's able. Ring guy's son. All right. I appreciate you. I like it. I said it with confidence, though. I was ready to go. But I think I don't know how injured Patrick Kinney was. Hopefully he's able to go this week. But Trevi Hillman Conley is really tough.
Yeah.
Moves really well for that size. He's a big guy. Moves really well for that weight.
He's been solid forever. Yes. So Fort Wayne semi-state brackets. Anything Fort Wayne, nothing too crazy as far as upsets or anything. A couple mild upsets that we're gonna put people in rougher positions, but nothing too crazy.
It's not as bad as it used to. I feel like you guys would always like stack up one weight class and they'd all get death draws.
Yes. We're spread out a little bit. I think we've learned the art of communication. Like, hey, let's not all go in the same weight class this year, guys.
I think Andy's the reason for that. Now that you guys got the fort, they can all talk.
Yes, and they probably have they have monthly meetings. Okay, what weight class are you thinking? Well, why don't you guys go here so we're not all stacked in one weight class? There's still some weight classes, but it's more regional stacked than anything. So everyone's like, okay, we're all going to go in the regional, at least then we'll get separated. So
let me go to my handy dandy notebook here so I can get my Fort Wayne semi-state brackets with rankings.
Got nice little cool graphics. Got Juliana Ocampo of New Haven on top. She has Corbin Lothridge of Jay County. Cooper Good of Northfield versus Adley Yoder. Ocampo she's in a pretty good spot. Everyone else has 8 or more losses. 8.
She's the only ranked wrestler in that quarter bracket too. So, that doesn't always mean that
Belmont never get talked about. We talk about Belmont a lot.
It doesn't even say never. Why does Belmont ever get talked about? Does it say never?
I assume he meant never.
I don't think Lenny would be saying that. We love Belmont. We're some of the longest tenured members of the Dana and Rex High School Wrestling Weekly.
I know we might be. I mean, we've been on it probably, at least we're top 5 probably times.
Yeah, I think I have to be in the top 10 of all time.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
we love Belmont. Actually, I have a Brave tattoo right on my calf. And come out to the hang grass show, everybody.
I have a tattoo that says Belmont Magic. There's a radio station for that. Oh, jeez. Yeah, they have their own show. They have their own. Yeah, the Rex and Dane show.
I know. You get your own radio station.
Yeah. So Ocampo, pretty good spot. She's obviously a heavy favorite there with to punch her 4th ticket to state, which is anytime anyone gets to state 4 times, that's pretty impressive. And she's gonna probably make history there. Going down. Yeah, some more people, some ranked rankings there. Reed Wicker, number 10 in the semi-state or state. Real tough freshman. Gonna be interesting to see. Obviously, potentially seeing him in Ocampo in the semis. He has a tough Camden Rapel right off the bat, so that should be a good match.
Yeah, I've been super impressed with Wicker this year. Every time I've seen him.
Yeah, I'm sure they wrestled this year. Did they not? Yeah, Wicker won 10-2 per this website of mine. So Remington Waldron of Lakeland versus Hunter Duncan, who's number 9 in the semi-state there.
Yeah, Reed Wicker was one of the guys that come up to wrestle the Carnahan. I thought he wrestled really well there. I know he had a huge win over Sam Westfall. I think he pinned him pretty quick, actually, in like the first match. Really, really tough freshman.
Yeah. Going down, you got Ari Schrock of Mechanical and Mike.
I was backstage, guys. I had
What'd you do? Click backstage?
Yeah, that's it. I didn't hit nothing. It just went out.
Oh, nice.
Maybe the great snowstorm of the
Northeast. That's supposed to be coming tomorrow.
Allegedly.
Yeah, Ari Schrock, Mechanical, tough freshman. Man, they just keep bringing in these like random kids that like, man, who's this guy? He has Leon Bontrager of West Noble, then Ramon Sierra of Garrett versus Jackson Webb of Yorktown, I believe. Okay, no, Webb wrestled Warner. I was thinking Webb wrestled Sierra, but that should be a pretty solid quarter bracket. Sierra's number 20 in the state. Sierra's number 6 in the semi-state, and number 10 in the semi-state, Ari Schrock.
Yeah, I think that's a really good spot for those guys. Obviously, I think Webb's really good. He's ranked pretty high. I mean, 20 is not high, I guess. But right off the bat, that'd be a good one. But I think Jackson Webb's wrestled a really good schedule. He's wrestled a lot of high-level guys.
Yep. And then the bottom quarter bracket, Carter Shehog of Angola, number
8 in the semi-state, not ranked in the state.
8 in the semi-state. I could look there. I can't read my font. Carson Young of Eastern, Jacob Benninger of Belmont, and Joey Warner of Carroll, number 14 in the state. Warner's in a good spot. Obviously, he was hoping that he didn't have to draw into Wicker. Wicker was probably hoping the same thing there. So they got separated. Warner's a really tough freshman. Probably, I'm pretty positive he'll be, if he qualifies, he'll be the first freshman qualifier in Carroll history. So pretty cool thing. So he's in a real good spot there.
Yeah, I think, obviously the top 4 guys, the one quarter, it's going to be tough. I like Webb in there, but I like Wicker and Ocampo and Warner to get out there.
You gotta. This is one of the 3 weight classes that you could get all 16 ranked there.
Obviously, I'm gonna. If I can get, there's only 3 weight classes I can get 16 in. I blame Newcastle. We'll talk about it either tonight or tomorrow.
Fort Wayne didn't do you any favors in a couple weights.
Nah, they didn't.
So 113 returning state qualifier Charlie Fleshman of Central Noble. He has Cullum Delaney of Bishop Dwenger, Manny Mora of Oak Hill against Griffin Byram of Jay County. And I believe Byram pinned Fleshman at the East Central Indiana Classic.
Ooh, the ECIC?
Yes.
One of my favorites.
Yeah. So Fleshman returning state qualifier should be a good match right there. Its top half's pretty good. Bakari Cooper, New Haven, sophomore, only 3 losses. He has Trevor Mansell of Northwood, Zach Reno, number 9 in the semi-state, against Ian McVicker of Mississinewa. So you could have a 14 and 21. So 2 guys with 2 and 3 losses. That's gonna be a good take around match.
Couple sophomores. That'll be a good one. I think that's a lot of guys that I haven't seen those guys live, but I know everyone that's seen McVicker has been real high on him, telling me that he's a guy that they could see on the podium. And obviously, you and I talked early on about Bakari Cooper because I thought it was Carrington Cooper at first. You said Cooper looks huge at 13. I said, dude, Carrington Cooper was huge at 20 last year. They cut him down. I said, I could swear he was a senior.
Yeah.
And that'd be a good one. That Griffin Bynum, Charlie Fleshman would be a good one too. Griffin Bynum's been in the mix at Jay County for a couple of years. Probably, 16 is pretty high, I guess, high enough. But I thought I was a little bit lower on him this year than I could have been. I know he's been in the mix.
Yeah. So the Bakari Cooper is not related. By the way, he's not related to Carrington.
No.
That was everyone. I was like,
Cooper.
I assume they're brothers, both same. They look very similar. They wrestle very similar, and I'm like, well, they have to be related, or maybe cousins, worst case. And nope, they're not related.
Well, there you go.
So, going down another tough quarter bracket. Number 6, Rex Moore, couple times state qualifier. He has Nathan Spears, number 11, in the semi-state. Braden Boz of
Are they at
Prairie
least
Heights.
friends, Dave? Are they at least buddies or no?
Hopefully they're friends. I mean, they're probably practice partners last year. I'm sure Carrington beat the crap out of him for a year and then said, see ya.
Sorry. Nathan Spears, trained by my guy AJ Bradley. Always dangerous.
Yes. They take out ranked guys on in the first round. Wouldn't be the first time. So Boz has Drew Heisler, tough freshman from Homestead.
Joe, are you there? Was Harris robbed on a horrible call?
I don't think it was a horrible call. Harris's foot was in bounds from what I saw. Obviously, I was a little bit further away than the ref was.
Yeah, the ref usually has the best vantage point in that.
Yeah, they're a little bit better view. He had his foot in when he was on top.
They have to pass a test.
Yeah.
They have to read a book.
They have to read a book.
What's the last book you read?
The last book I read? The Indiana Mat Preseason Magazine.
Pretty good. That's a pretty good book.
Yeah. So, pretty good quarter there with Moore and Heisler. That should be.
Yeah, Rex Moore is really tough. I think he's coming out the right time too. 43-1. That'd be a good one.
Yep. Cade Jackson, number 12 in the state. Delta. He has Ming Lowry of North Miami, and Petrell Childs of Northrop versus Alex De La Cruz of Angola. So that should, obviously Jackson's the only one with a number beside him, so he's obviously a heavy favorite there.
Was Cade Jackson a state qualifier last year at 120, and he's coming down a weight too?
Cade Jackson was a state qualifier at 120 pounds.
So, and I think, obviously that could be a pretty good quarter or semifinals with Jackson, Moore, the winner of McVicker and Cooper, and then the winner of Byram and Fleshman. So yeah, that could be a pretty solid tick around.
Yeah, it seems like obviously there was going to be some tough draws there, but it seems like everything fairly well got separated. And I mean, obviously with that many ranked guys, they're gonna hit. There's no other way that they weren't gonna hit. So especially with all the champs being ranked. So 120 up top, you got number 1 in the semi-state, 4th in the state, Aiden Bollinger having a real good senior year.
Real good career.
Yeah, real good career. State two-time third place finisher, going to IU. Could be an interesting match. Keelan Fuller, who has had at least 6 COVID years. He was a freshman in 2010, I thought.
He's been there for a while.
Yes. But yeah, he's been around for a while. He's been around the block. He's been there. That's not really for that I would really want to start my day off, because you got to be careful against him. He will hit some big moves, and he's not afraid to do that. And
he's trained by my guy, Sam Reason.
Yes. Sam Reason there. His sons do not like wrestling on the Indiana mat, from what I've heard. They are 0-3 on it a couple weeks ago.
They're good, though, man. They're going to be really good.
Yeah, they are.
They're going to be really good.
The one placed at a middle school state. Yeah, they're pretty good. They are overcoming some poor genetics.
Yeah, I think he would agree with that too.
Yes,
he's a good dude, man. I like him. Yeah. He's a real nice guy.
He's not going to be shy about saying yes. I don't know where they're getting that genetics, but it's not from me. So yeah, that could be a match that I'm kind of interested in watching, just because Fuller is dangerous and he has nothing to lose. I mean, he would love to nothing more than to knock out a guy like that in the first round. The other part of that bracket, Jackson Rising, senior from Homestead versus Jordan Owens from Manchester. And one of the things we don't really talk about this very much, and I just saw it because of Homestead and stuff. There's a lot of points to be made for Team State in this. Winning that first round is huge points for smaller schools. It's also for bigger. It's for any of the schools, even if you don't qualify for state, getting that kid to that second round can really help you with team state points.
Yes, we forgot to talk about that yesterday.
Yeah, so that's one thing that those guys that
Legit.
yeah.
That's probably the kids get the talent from Lindsay.
Yes, Lindsay, man, whatever athleticism that she has, definitely. I'm glad that those genes dominated, and whatever they got from their dad, I'm kind of scared, but at least it wasn't the athletic genes. Man, we're being mean to old Sammy. I'm gonna have to apologize.
He's a good dude, man. I like him. I like him a lot, actually.
Yeah, he laughed when I sent him the text about, I saw your boys were 0-3 on my mat. I'm just gonna start taking it everywhere you go. He's like, can you take it to the fort so they get their butts kicked up there? So yeah. Anyway, like I said, the team state, there's a lot of points that can be made, and that's huge for especially some of those smaller schools to get some extra points that can kind of set them apart and get them into a team state. So you got to keep an eye on those kind of matches, even if you do have a tough take around match. Winning those matches are huge. So,
man, is this the rivalry that the Contenders is? I keep saying that they're anti chin whip. I thought the Contenders guys that are like anti chin whip. I know Walter was a CIA guy, but man, he was ripping heads off for a while.
I don't know. Chin whips. Hey, if they give you their chin, you can whip it. So,
do what you need to do, man.
Yep.
I mean, I would say the first advice would be sprawl, stuff the head. But if they're at that point, you need to chin whip them, go for it.
Yep. Just don't go to your back. So now that Duke has released a scouting report on the Reason brothers to everyone in the Indiana Mat community. So the great equalizer.
Nice. That's what I heard. They just call it the Reason now.
So it's just like, I mean, he must be from Belmont because there's no double legs, there's no single legs, there's no firemen's. It's all named after Belmont wrestlers. So when you're on the call with Rex, I'm like, what is that? That's a fireman's. No, that's the Myers. I'm like, okay. Oh, that's a half. No, that's not a half Nelson. That's the Farote. So
you don't think anyone's ever hit a chin whip at the Iron Man? I would be willing to bet. I'd be willing to bet if Seth Mendoza wanted to go out and hit a chin whip, he'd hit a chin whip. Yes. I'd be willing to bet if Bo Bassett said, hey, man, I'm going to work chin whips this week, he'd hit a chin whip.
Or 3.
Yeah.
Yes. So, going down, next quarter bracket, number 6 in the semi-state, Quanell Gabriel of Lakeland, sophomore. He has Ben Mills of Belmont. Speaking of Belmont, I wonder what move he does that's named after him. Should be a good first-round match. Colin Tarleton of Oak Hill. He has Timmy Roca of New Haven, number 14 in the state. So he avoided Bollinger, which would have been the worst draw possible for him. So he's in a good spot there to qualify.
Yeah, I think obviously being the runner up there, still put himself in a good spot. The highest, obviously, only state ranked wrestler. Ben Mills been in the mix a little bit too. I think he's pretty good for Belmont. 15 losses. They wrestle a pretty tough schedule. Have I seen who hit a chin whip? I seen Jackson Forrest hit an assassin from his feet. I mean, basically a chin whip, right?
Yeah.
I mean, but I guess if you just limit your arsenal, if you're, just be that guy, I guess. Okay. Cool.
So going down bottom half bracket, got a tough quarter bracket.
Yeah, really tough.
McIntyre, number 8 in the semi-state, or 8 in the state. He has Chase Bricky of Carroll, freshman. Number 10 in the semi-state. Then you got number 22 in the state, number 5 in the semi-state, Cameron Center. He is a
state qualifier too, right?
Yeah, he's a former state qualifier. He has Levi Johns, who has a state medal. So in the first round, so that is going to be that's a Fort Wayne, quarter bracket.
Oh yeah, I think Center and Johns right off the bat is going to be a good one. Johns really tough. And then the winner of that gets an undefeated Braylon McIntyre. So yeah, that's one of those ones. So that's what Fort Wayne always used to look like.
Yeah. Yes. So, and then going down, Caleb Asa Garrett got put in a really good spot for, considering what he could have gotten right there above him. He has Brady Shannon of Western, Ben Bush of Yorktown, sophomore, and Cole Carper, number 12 in the semi-state from Jimtown. So someone not state ranked will make it out, but you got a 7 and 12 in the semi-state.
Yeah. Carper looked really good at the Al Smith. I know he's a place with the Al Smith last year, also 2-time medalist at the Al Smith.
One
and
time.
then Caleb Asa, we kind of talked about it in the regional. Really impressed with the freshman from Garrett. I thought Garrett overall at Al Smith really scrapped. It's I know they've had some tough breaks the state tournament so far. Hopefully that's all behind them and they have a strong semi-state.
Yep. 126. Starting another Garrett regional champ and another bracket without any state ranked guys.
The
So
Railroaders.
They got some good draws there. So Cameron Baker, number 7 in the semi-state. He has Isaiah Sperlin of Winchester. And then you got freshman Tristan Elmore of Eastern versus Gavin Chrisman of West Noble.
Do you guys not call it Eastern Greentown?
Let's call it Eastern. I mean, Fort Wayne, there's only one Eastern. Just like Carroll, there's only one Carroll. When we're going to like statewide, I'd say Eastern Greentown.
Like when you guys say like Snyder, do you guys just say Snyder or do you say Fort Wayne Snyder?
Snyder.
What about Northside?
Northside.
You guys only say Fort Wayne? We always say Gary Westside. There's only like one high school in Gary now. We still call it Gary Westside.
Yeah, no, I think when it's Snyder versus North, or we don't say Fort Wayne. It's kind of redundant when you're up here. But the interesting thing is there's no other Snyders, there's no other North Sides, there's no other South Sides, there's no other Waynes. Fort Wayne, kind of redundant.
What Fort Wayne for?
What? That's very redundant calling it Fort Wayne, but
they call it. They had Jimmy 2 times naming him or what?
Yes. They had to have a high school after General Wayne, who the city's named after. I guess they're the Generals. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean,
I just assumed there was a fort that was called Wayne there. I didn't even know it was a general.
Well, I mean, there is a fort there. We do have a fort.
The fort holding it down. Sounds like they're showing chin whips.
Yes. So,
all right. Sorry. Back on task. Yeah, Cameron Baker's in a good spot. They're only rate guy, that top quarter bracket.
Yep, he's wrestling real well right now, and put himself in a real good spot. Tough quarter bracket here. Dakota Sprunger, number 25 in the state, late ad there, making Mike look good. He has Omar Hamad of Carroll. Just Carroll. Cameron Straw, Angola, tough senior. He's probably been in the rankings here and there.
Yes, he's definitely on the watch list. He's been right in the mix. I'm not gonna lie to you, I don't get a lot of Angola results.
Yeah, that's pretty far up north.
They got a pretty good toboggan run there, right?
Yep. Yes.
I've never been on. Is it fun? Have you been there?
I have not been on the toboggan run.
I'm sure someone in this comments has been on this Angola toboggan at the state park.
Yes. Did you learn that on TikTok?
I did. No, I knew about it before. I seen it before.
Okay, I saw that one the other day.
Gem in Indiana.
Yes. So our guy Springle with his hidden gems in it. I think that was on one of those, wasn't it?
I'm sure, man. I don't think I've. Is it fun, Andy? Is it? Obviously, there's not a height requirement.
Daggers thrown tonight.
Yeah, I gotta get back in it. I gotta get back in this. All right.
Oh man. So wow. So
yeah.
You got Cameron Straw versus Jordan Correct. You got number 13 in the state. And that's pretty solid quarter bracket.
I thought they'd give you like a toboggan. I thought that's not real. Like you have to go on there. Like I don't even know. I don't even have a sled.
No, they have them there. You just have to carry it up to the top.
How tall is it?
I don't know. I haven't been on it.
I'm gonna go.
You know what I do during the winter? This.
Same. I'm gonna go catch Angola dual meet and go on this toboggan. I'm gonna live stream it.
Let's see. Pokagon Toboggan Run. Talk about this quarterback. I'll find out how tall it is.
Yeah, so Jordan Korek, number 13 in the state, number 1 in the semi-state. That could be a pretty interesting one with Dakota Sprunger, South Adams, the Starfires. The next quarterback is one of the best names in the state, 21 in the state, number 3 in the semi-state, from Marion, Giants. Hickson Love. He'll have Brandon Lechner of, I'm not sure, Northridge. And he'll have the winner of Caden Benedict of Homestead, 26 and 12, ranked number 6 in the semi-state, and Cale Beer of Adams Central, a sophomore, 33 and 11, number 5. So 5 and 6, first round in that quarterback, and the winner gets possibly Hickson Love, the regional champ of Peru.
Yep, that was a 6-4 match. Beer won.
We have Oakridge Prairie. It's a pretty good hill. We usually just go out the viaducts over by like the highway, try to get by traffic. We don't have a toboggan hill.
It is 30-foot tower with dips and valleys, a total vertical drop of 90 feet. A quarter mile. The top recorded speed was 42 miles an hour.
It's about as fast as my fastball. I'm just joking.
Wow.
Man.
So it's open through February 23rd. So you want to make a trip over here after state?
How far is Angola? Is that by Ohio?
It's like northeast, like the northeast corner. It's like 20 minutes from Ohio, 20 minutes from Michigan, maybe 15 both ways.
Nah, I'm good.
It is. You take it's 80-90 and I-69. So
maybe someday, not today though.
Yes.
20 minutes north of Butler. I'm gonna hit this Butler McDonald's then too. You know what? I'm gonna make it a round trip. 40 miles. Not considered a heater. All right, I see what you're saying there. You see some of these guys throwing EFISs. They might be hitting 42 on these high curves.
Dave's like, man, I can hit this guy.
But I was moving some stuff around. I found my Dave Doster autographed cards over here.
Nice. Man. The rails. So
number down in the next quarter bracket, Goshen Regional Champ, the freshman from East Noble, Dane Pippinger. Number 11 in the semi-state, he'll open up with Braden Rice of Northfield, a junior, 35 and 9. And then they'll have the winner of Sean Harris, 41 and 2, who sounds like there could be a possible questionable call that I'm not aware of, and I'm not going to question any officials. Number 19 in the state, 2 in the semi-state, and he'll open up with an incredibly talented freshman, Gabriel Myers of Belmont, 33 and 11. That could be a really good first match. Harris shouldn't probably look past any Belmont kids. Wrestling one at a time. You can't be looking at the tick around, but right off the bat, you're going to have 9 and 2 in the semi-state.
Yeah, they did not. So I don't have a couple of his losses, but I assume they wrestled. So, little Northeast 8 rivalry right there. So that should be a good one. And definitely a good solid quarter bracket down there. Whew, we're through 4 weights.
I mean, we're getting there. I like it.
In an hour. I think we might be going tomorrow night at this pace. So 132 up at the top. You got Drew Walden coming in undefeated. Xavion Ford of Kokomo. Jason Landers of Jay County versus Noah Dove. Tough freshman. You got some younger guys there. Walden's obviously the only one with a number beside him. He's wrestling well. He's going to be one to kind of keep your eye on at state as he continues to get better and better throughout the, get some more matches in, and he's in a pretty good spot here.
Yeah. I think that Drew Walden put himself in a really good spot. Obviously, a couple-time regional champ now, a couple-time sectional champ. He's pretty tough. Like I said, we kind of talked about the regional. I mean, the regional falling up into the semi-state, I'm really excited that he was able to wrestle. I know that's a pretty significant injury.
Yep. Going down, you got Trip Hazley, Madison Grant, the Argyles. He has Landon Wade of Northridge, Deacon Rhodes, Snyder versus Will Patterson. Rhodes number 22, Hazley's number 16, so you could have a ranked matchup there in the ticket round. So it should be a pretty solid quarter.
Yeah. Like I said, I like Trip Hazley. Deacon Rhodes, real tough. That'll be a good one. Two ranked guys.
Frank has a good idea. Maybe we can take him up there with us.
So I said, man, we're using those steel ones like Christmas Vacation.
Nice. So going down, Hunter Douglas, 2-time state qualifier. He has Jaden Klein of Yorktown, Will Hahn, number 12 in the semi-state from Northwood versus number 11 in the semi-state, Glenn Deuce Baldwin. So you got 11 and 12 going at it for a chance at number 1 in the semi-state.
Yeah, that's a pretty tough spot right there. I mean, obviously you wrestle them, so you never look past anybody. But Hunter Douglas is probably, I mean, obviously he's one of the top 5 guys in the state, top 6 guys in the state. That weight class, according to the rankings, according to my personal opinion, I guess.
So going down, and I'm just double checking. I guess he is not ranked. Sam Mosier, number 10, the semi-state or state. He has Lathan James of Carroll, freshman. Tough matchup for the Supercharger freshman. Actually, they're not using Superchargers anymore. I guess that got 86th. So Jackson Archer of Tri-Central versus Quentin Silent K. Ginalden. I think we're going to start calling him Silent K. We got a good nickname.
Silent K, man. We got 4 more years to say Q Silent K. I like that.
Yeah. So,
yeah, Sam Mosier is really tough. Holds position well. Like he doesn't normally make like the mistakes to put himself in bad position. Just solid across the board. His 4 losses are all pretty good.
Yep, he did. He lost 1-0 to Lane Horn, lost 5-4 to Tylen Thrine, 4-0 to Hawkins, and then someone out of state, I believe. So pretty solid 4 losses there.
Yeah.
138. Dylan Ogg of Adams Central, sophomore, only 1 loss on the year. That is to 1 loss, and I got to delete 1 to Ashton Gooney, not probably Gooney. So that's
how about Braid Arthur getting pulled back in and then getting a dub at the regional to qualify for semi-state.
I love those. I love when that happens. You get pulled in, and you get a big W there. So that's big. Braid Arthur and Og, then Blake Mock of Elkhart versus Lane Snyder of Eastside Senior. Snyder's had some solid career, solid wins. He's gonna have a tough one right there, but I do not believe they wrestled. But that could be a real good ticket round match there.
Yeah.
And then go ahead.
Yeah, next one down, number 28 in the state, number 8 in the semi-state, Liam Baumgartner, 32-3 from Western. And he had number 10 in the semi-state, Parker Barnes of Bluffton, a freshman, 30-7 right off the bat. And then they'll have the winner of Aiden Hartman. I know who's been on the watch list, has kind of been in and out of the rankings. Probably, I think Caleb can be a little tougher on the Gymtown guys. He's not a Gymtown Jimmy lover, I guess, anymore. No. He'll have Carter Krause of Fort Wayne Snyder, 22-2 senior. I know he was out for some injuries. I don't believe he wrestled at the Al Smith.
No, he did not.
He's got some big moves in his arsenal. So a guy that can make some noise. I believe he's pretty prevalent on the TikTok also.
Yes, that should be.
I'm saying at one point when TikTok was all done, I'm sure he was pretty sad.
So yeah, that should be a solid quarter bracket. Definitely, any of those guys can come out of there. Going down is going to be a real good quarter bracket. Malachi Tholner, freshman from New Haven, Aisha Kochka of Northridge. He had an older brother that's pretty good.
We said that about Cooper. I mean, Couchka's a little less of a common name, but I'm not going to make that assumption.
Yeah. So, Owen Tolley?
He was said that Carter Carlson here said when TikTok went down, I believe it. That's not me talking trash. That's me being supportive.
Yes. So
check
Owen
him out,
Tolley,
man. Got some cool stuff on there. Check him out.
Yep. Against Henry Ferrote. So you could have another Northeast 8 New Haven Belmont ticket round possible match. That could
did they wrestle in the duel when Belmont and New Haven wrestled?
No, they did not wrestle because Tholner came down late. Okay. So they have not wrestled at all.
Henry Ferrote, a returning state qualifier there. So it could be an interesting matchup.
Yeah, that's going to be a real good one there. Where is Tholner's number 5 in the semi-state? There we go. Yeah. Who does he have those losses to? Let's say 1-0 to who? So, yeah, that should be a good one.
Hold on. Now for the I use the bathroom. I'll be right back.
Okay. Oh, that's from Jaden Zimmerman. Okay, that's another guy. Anyway, last quarter bracket, Andrew Wilson, number 7, the semi-state. He has number 9, the semi-state, Jordan Rains. Ashton Goney of Cowan, number 17, the state. Freshman against Kristen Damewood of Kokomo. So you got a couple sophomores and a freshman. So pretty wide open weight there with some young guys that are going to get a lot of good experience there. I'll move up to 144. Let me check this. So up top, you got Cameron Pratt, Northfield senior, 41-4. He's number 8 in the semi-state. He'll have number 9 right off the bat. Jacob Unger of Cowan, sophomore, 14-6. 2 unranked guys, Jagger Boot of Northwood versus Tanner Ellis of Columbia City. Ellis has had a solid run the past couple weeks and might be able to surprise some people. Obviously, he's Blaine Culp trained, so that always helps. And going down, Wyatt Hoppus of Yorktown, number 7 in the semi-state, or state, number 1 in the state, or semi-state. Blah, I can't get that right. He has Gabe Newland of Kokomo, number 5 in the semi-state. Anthony Garula of Homestead, number 4 in the semi-state. He'll have Jersey Slayball of Northridge. So you have 4, 5, and 1 in the same quarter bracket in the semi-state. So pretty solid quarter right there. Got halfway through 44. So got Brody Hagwood
on my side, huh?
Yep. Got Brody Hagwood from Prairie Heights. I have to kind of be nice to him because he better be nice to his girlfriend because I know her. She used to be a neighbor of mine. So if he's not, I will kick his butt. I know he's in here watching. So be nice to her. He has Mackay Pinkston of Southside, Eric Hunt of Western versus number 6 in the semi-state, AJ Heskett. So Hagwood, a 2-time state qualifier right there. Any comments on any of his the 144 bracket?
Man, I had to find out where we're at here. Yeah, so obviously I've said it for the last 4 years. I'm a Hagwood fan. I think those guys are pretty explosive. They're exciting to watch. They get after it. I'm pulling for those guys. I think he's in a pretty good spot right there. He's the only state ranked, number 9 in the state. So I'm hoping those guys can go down there and find a medal.
Yeah, it'd be good for them too. Oh, Brock's already talking trash. Oh boy. That's funny. So yeah, the last quarter bracket, Kendall Kwai. Is it Kwai or Koi?
Koi, I believe. I mean, that's what I say on the mic at Al Smith, so hopefully.
The general didn't correct you, so he has Kevin Tom. That should be a real good first round match. Number 3 in the semi-state, number 12 in the semi-state. Wyatt Mann of South Adams. I wonder if he's related to Josh Mann. Former state qualifier for them. He was real tough. He was, oh man, I hate wrestling. I hate coaching against that kid. Brings back bad memories. Corbin Goshert of Wabash, number 7, the semi-state.
Yeah, I I thought Kevin Tom looked really good at Al Smith too, from Wawasi. I don't believe he placed. I think he was in the blood round. And Kenny Coy is obviously explosive. He placed last year, placed this year. I know at some point it wasn't going great for Snyder, and they were like, "Oh, we're not going to have any place." I was like, "Man, I think Kenny Coy is going to place. He's pretty good," and he did.
Yeah, he's been pretty consistent for them. He's pretty solid and kind of one that, with all the other guys in the weight classes and stuff, kind of comes under the radar. He's pretty solid and definitely one Brody should not overlook, and he needs to focus on wrestling and not holding his girlfriend's hand between matches.
Dang. Coming for the jugular tonight.
Hey, he better be nice to her because I'll drop him on his head.
What if he drops you on your head?
He won't.
Okay.
I'm not afraid of someone from Prairie Heights. Qua. According to Tim Carter, it's Qua. But he never corrected you at Al Smith, though.
He didn't.
So
we got mutual respect.
Yeah.
Game respects game, you know. Top quarter bracket here. I think this one's pretty tough. Right off the bat, number 19 in the state, number 4 in the semi-state, 44-0 sophomore Elijah Gall of Northfield against Jordan Klump of Prairie Heights, senior 30-14. And then on the bottom part of that quarter bracket, you have Luke Dahlbrand of Norwell, 29-13 senior, and Lincoln Carter, 24-1 junior, number 8 in the state, number 2 in the semi-state. Could be a possible ticket round match with a single loss between those guys.
Yeah, that should be a real good ticket round match. Carter's looking really good. Was out for a little bit of the season, and obviously he took his first loss to Doster. 2-time state qualifier. Obviously, Gall that's not where you wanted to be.
No,
that's one draw you did not want.
And he's had a really good season. Like I said, he's had some really great kid results coming up. So, I mean, obviously he was on the watch list last year. Probably didn't have the freshman season he thought he was going to have, but he's had an incredible sophomore year so far. That's going to be a war. It's going to be a battle right there.
Yep. So going down, Dallas Davidson and Golan were, 7 in the semi-state. Remington Ricky of Tippecanoe Valley.
They used to go to the East Chicago semi-state.
Yep. Yeah. I'm surprised you didn't say that about Tri Central. Didn't they used to go to this?
And Wawasi.
And Wawasi, yep. You got some converts.
We took Rochester as a 3-team trade.
Yeah. And some cash. We sent you some cash.
Yeah, and a player to be named later. Yeah. Crash Davis. I'm surprised we didn't have Bull Durham on our list.
Yeah, that's a good movie. Yeah, you could probably do baseball. Probably has the best movies. There's
some good football ones too, but yeah,
I guess, yeah. So going down, Grant Hilger of Bishop Dwenger versus Sam Wolpert of Belmont. Pretty wide open quarter bracket. Davison and Wolpert, I believe they may have wrestled at the. They could have wrestled earlier in the season, and they did not. So, never mind. Wolpert only has losses on his profile, so hopefully he gets some wins to add to that profile. Kind of looks bad. So, anything on that one?
Dallas Davison's been a guy that's been on the watch list the last 2 years. He might have spent some time in the rankings. I think that's the hard part too, is like some of the results kind of dictate where guys end up falling, whether it's a good result or a bad result. And sometimes a close match can move you into the rankings. I think Dallas Davison's been right there. I know Sam Wolpert's been on the watch list or right in the mix. So that'll be a pretty interesting ticket round. A lot of pickups could be won in that quarter bracket.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Going down, you got number 15, the state, Brayson Shortgen, another tough sophomore from Adams Central. He has Ian Hutchinson from Homestead, number 10 the semi-state, number 11 the semi-state, Matthew Sen of Fairfield, and Riley King of North Miami, number 12. So everyone has a number beside him, so pretty solid quarter bracket right there.
Yeah, Branson Shorgan, really tough. I think they were not super happy with their ranking at some point. Then got them into the rankings. They did some work, so one of those messages that was like, okay, man, we'll check it out. We'll look at it. And then, now he's going to have a chance to possibly punch a ticket to the state finals.
Yep. Then last quarter bracket, Easton Doster of New Haven. Zeke.
Returning state champion, Easton Doster.
Yes, returning state champ.
A Rutgers Scarlet Knight, future Rutgers Scarlet Knight.
Yeah. Rutgers was having a Scarlet out this weekend. Kind of sounds weird.
It does.
I was like, man, I said, all I have is red shirts. I can't go. I don't have any Scarlet ones. So.
Oh, you don't think that's salmon?
Yeah. No. He has Zeke Witter of Delta, Caden Jones of Oak Hill, and then number 24, Drew Trigg of Concord. Not the draw Mr. Trigg wanted.
No, I think anytime you have a state champ in the ticket round, not the draw you want. Yes. Possibly, obviously, Zeke Witter coming out there, Delta, Cody LeCount trained, looking to shock the world, but Easton Doster is going to be a hard out.
Yes. Number 157.
Another undefeated.
Yep. Got some undefeated. Yeah. So you got Jackson Bradley. Started out the season at 144. Decided he liked food. And
good for him, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, we've talked about it quite a bit recently. And he decided, hey, I'm going to go up. And he's still wrestling really well. He's tough. Number 5 in the state, number 1 in the semi-state.
Number 1 in our hearts.
Yes. He is Bradley trained, but not, well, I mean, I'm sure AJ's helped him, but more Casey Bradley trained than AJ Bradley.
Yeah.
So he has Noah Bowser of Carroll Jr. that qualified first time. Grant Howard of Madison Grant, number 25 versus number 23 in the state. Blake Denman of Angola. Neither of those guys are probably wanting to run to Bradley, but that's going to be a tough quarter bracket right there. 3 ranked guys.
Yeah. For a lot of them that doesn't have, some of them don't even have 3 semi-state ranked guys. You have 3 guys that are ranked in the state. You got 1, 5, and 8 in the semi-state in that quarter bracket. And we're probably like, oh man, that's probably not who Denman and Howard want to put. We're not even asking Noah Bowser. Probably got the toughest draw, right?
Yeah.
Of the 4, like he's the guy that has the toughest, right? If he wins, he has to beat another ranked guy. If he knocks off Jackson Bradley and gives him his first loss, the first time in high school he wouldn't receive a medal, then he'll have to knock off another guy in the rankings. So
yeah, you can't even celebrate that win.
Yeah. You got on to the next one. Hey, it happens though.
Yep,
it's happened before.
Yes, it has.
What's the Princeton guy who's out there tossing headlocks, beat Logan Miller, and then got another one on the ticket round?
Yeah. I can't think of his name. I can see the singlet. Number 9, the semi-state, Brian Garrett. He has number 10 in the semi-state, Evan Duncan, first round from Winchester. Porter Kleberg of Central Noble versus Adrian Hahn of Wabash. So Barrett's wrestling really well. He's in a solid position. Obviously, you can look right above where a couple of guys he could have drawn into. So Garrett, got a good draw with, winning your regional and put in a solid position there. So he's wrestling real well as a senior. And I know he has a pretty cool backstory, some things in life that weren't going his way, and kind of used wrestling as his outlet and done pretty well. So kind of would be cool to see him punch a ticket to state.
Yeah, I think it would be too. I mean, kind of talking about it a little bit with you. Porter Kleberg of Central Noble, obviously real talented sophomore, had a lot of good kid results coming up. I believe he has a pretty good younger brother, maybe also.
Yep.
It's tougher to say because they all represent the 40s, not representing Central Noble there. But real talented sophomore. I don't think he should be overlooked.
Yeah.
And he probably shouldn't look past Adrian Houghton either of Wabash.
Yep. And then another really, this would be a good quarter bracket here. Number 12 in the semi-state, Evan Oglesby, Mechaniqua. For winning regional, he gets a number 19 in the state, Cohen Lundy of Elkhart, first round. So that should be a real good one. Ian Amstutz of New Haven, he'll have Maverick Duball, number 12 in the state, 3 in the semi-state. So you got 3, 7, 12 in the semi-state. So real solid quarter bracket. Another one that, man, you could be looking at a 4 over a 1, but that's gonna be a tough one.
Yeah, Cohen Lundy's a guy I've always been impressed with every time we see him. At Al Smith, I think they wrestle. Elkhart does a really good job wrestling there. That'll be an interesting match right off the bat. Ian Amholtz has been in the rankings. I think he was in the back part of the rankings. He ended up dropping out. I think he took an early season loss, but he's been on the watch list. And Maverick Duval has been right there every year he's been in high school. So that could be an interesting first round match. And then that entire quarter bracket's going to be really good.
Yeah. So then the next quarter bracket, some Brock kid from Prairie Heights. He has Eli Winters of North Miami, Cody Cox of Norwell, number 14 in the state, having a real good senior year. He has Ben Hartzell of Homestead. So that should be a real good match, number 11 and 6 in the semi-state. And then the winner gets that Brock kid from Prairie Heights that probably can bale hay with the best of them.
I'm sure. Super explosive. Number 9 in the state, 2 in the semi-state, obviously. He's having a really good career. Again, like I think that those guys have been right there. The Twins probably are looking to get a medal, but you can't overlook anybody in the state tournament. Eli Winters, North Miami. We talked about North Miami's season and how well they're doing. They have a lot of guys continue to wrestle. I think when you have a lot of guys moving out of the state tournament, still having a full room, I think that helps benefit you. Cox has been right there every year. I knew he was in the rankings as a freshman, off and on. And Hartzell's been in the rankings in and out this year too. Homestead wrestles an incredibly tough schedule, 35 and 6 for Hartzell. I wouldn't be surprised if that's a guy that was able to punch his ticket there either. That'll be a good first round match with Cox and Hartzell.
Yep. 165. Turning state qualifier, Tegan Klaus of West Noble. He is number 14 in the state. He has Noah Majin of Cowan, Dallas Woodson of Snyder versus Sean Caldwell of Marion. He's number 8 in the semi-state. Woodson's wrestling real well right now. Avenged some losses and is one you really can't overlook. Obviously, he's related to some Woodsons that were pretty good at wrestling, so should be an interesting quarter bracket there. If you want to like kind of pick an upset pick, I would look at Woodson as one that's been wrestling pretty well the past couple weeks and might be able to get on a roll and knock off some ranked guys.
I think you said it all, man. I couldn't give a better breakdown if I wanted to.
So then we'll go down Gavin Davis, since we don't talk about Belmont, versus Caden Roberts, 2-time state qualifier Gavin Davis. Davis has been, he probably should have had a couple medals. This Friday night hasn't been kind to him with the jaws, and so hopefully this year he finishes his year with a medal. I know he's had some injuries. After seeing guys that are pretty good and kind of suffer some injuries and stuff, you definitely want to see him end up on the podium. He's tough, a goer. He has Caden Roberts of Jimtown, Corbin Kafer of Huntington North. He'll have August Adams, number 11 in the semi-state from Carroll. So that should be a good first-round match. And, man, Huntington North and Carroll used to be in the same sectional. So that should be a good quarter bracket. Adams did wrestle Davis earlier in the year, just a few weeks ago, actually. Davis winning. So Davis is in a good spot, but you can't ever overlook anyone. But hopefully I like to see Davis get a medal. His sister goes to Finley. Maybe I'll follow her there.
Yeah,
there'd be a good education there.
Does she play softball at Finley also? Is that what we said before?
I believe. Yeah.
Gavin Davis, every year, been super impressed with him. I think a guy that injuries has kind of derailed his state tournaments. I was worried at the Al Smith. He ended up pulling out of the bracket, and then Rex told us it was just because he was under the weather, which is good because I was like, man, another injury for him. That's terrible. So hopefully he has a healthy state tournament and is able to make a deep run. I agree. I think he could win the bracket. He's obviously talented enough. I mean, he could be a guy that made a run like Duke Myers did last year. Another guy for Belmont that battled injuries in his career and got under the lights. Yep.
It definitely would not be out of the question to see him run it to the lights. Going down, you got a real good quarter bracket. Carson Godinez of Homestead, senior, run regional, having a good solid year. He has Devin Rush of Kokomo. You have battle of number 9 and 12 in the state. Jeremiah Olam of Monroe Central versus Riley Biddle of East Noel. That should be a real good one. Olam is big.
Yeah, I was actually surprised to see him come down a weight class. But I mean, he is in a tough spot there. Biddle's tough. He had a really good Spartan Classic, and then the winner of that have not to count out Devin Rush of Kokomo, but I mean, Godinez and won the regional, should have a shot at either Biddle or Olam.
Yep. And then the last quarter bracket, Jose Cortez of Manchester versus Ethan Fike of Eastside. Fike injury defaulted out. I know he's been battling some injuries all year, trying to tough it out. Obviously, kind of just said, screw it, I'll wait till next week type thing. And you never know what your draw is going to be. Obviously, you could have ran into two guys with state medals of or state qualifiers and Klaus and Davis.
Probably best case scenario for him, right?
Yeah. Get healthy for another week, and they'll have whoever wins that match will get Nathan Plattner of South Adams versus Chance McCullough of Elkhart, number 22. So you could have 22 and 24 in the state battling it out there.
Yeah, got to see Chance McCullough at Al Smith. We kind of talked about that a bunch with Elkhart. I was really impressed with him. Ethan Fike, always really good. Obviously, the two guys that are ranked there, I would probably lean that way. I don't get to see Manchester enough, but obviously he's a regional champ. But if you're Fike, I mean, that's probably the one draw you're wanting. Like out of the four, you're like, well, I can get Gavin Davis, I can get Tegan Klaus, or I can get Jose Cortez of Manchester. And that's no disrespect to Jose Cortez. It's just he hasn't punched his ticket yet, and maybe this is the year to do it.
Yep. 175, another good solid weight class top to bottom. Jake Thrash, Homestead, really coming on, regional champ. He has Austin King, number 9 in the semi-state first round. Number 12 in the semi-state, Colton Crabb of Tippecanoe Valley versus Wesley Hendrickson of Winchester. So Thrash in a pretty good spot after winning regional there.
Yeah, I like Austin King. I think he's had some really good kid results also. Probably not the spot he wants to be in, number 12 in the state. Jake Thrash is wrestling really well. I believe he was their only undefeated wrestler at Team State, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on that. I'm sure someone will tell me if I am. But with the schedule that those guys wrestle to come out of that 37-3 with, Westfield Shamrock Duels, Team State, Defiance Border Wars. Obviously, Jake's having a phenomenal senior year.
Yeah, he was the only one. I thought you were saying undefeated going in there, but yeah, he's the only undefeated wrestler at Team State for them, and that's a tough day. There's no easy matches there.
Yeah, you grab Brownsburg right off the bat. It's tough.
Yeah. So Dominic Dunn of DeKalb, regional champ. What a good senior year. He has Paul Woods, a little Northeast 8 action there. First round, and number 10 in the semi-state, Matt Heiser of Adams Central. He'll have number 22 in the state, Corey Dowden of Trice Central. So pretty interesting quarter bracket, 5, 8, and 10. So a lot of guys are pretty close. Definitely have one guy with a state ranking in there, but that doesn't mean much when you have some pretty good, solid kids there, top to bottom.
Yeah, and especially a kid like Paul Woods, again, another guy that had a lot of success coming up to the youth, the ISWA brackets. You're a sophomore, you're a bigger weight. Eventually you're gonna figure it out, like the size and everything. And he's a dangerous wrestler for Leo.
Yep. They done beat Woods 11-0 at conference. So
it's a game of adjustments. Paul Woods, yep. You gotta find those adjustments.
Then going down 175, Cabe Stebbins of Delta, senior returning state placer. He'll have Christian Jennison of Huntington North. Number 15 in the state, Dallas Plattner of East Noah. He'll have Jackson Litchfield of Heritage, freshman. He's having a real good year. So a 3 and 7 in the semi-state. Then the winner of that will likely get number 1. So that could be a good, interesting matchup between Litchfield and Plattner.
Does Cabe Stebbins wrestle left-handed also? That's tricky.
I haven't scouted him.
I haven't scouted him either. I don't know if he's out there ripping lefty headlocks, maybe lefty chin whips.
Yeah, chin whips. That's a Fort Wayne move, the chin whip.
Yeah.
So, last quarter bracket, Jordan Simon, number 4 in the semi-state, North Miami, West Somerset, South Adams. Jonas Richmond of East Side versus number 20 in the state, Brandon Whitcar. A lot of 2 seniors battling out first round, and then a sophomore and junior. Thought they were all seniors for a second, but obviously number 6 and 4 in the semi-state, that could be a good one right there.
Yeah. Obviously, me and Caleb don't always agree. We don't always see eye to eye. He had Jordan Simon number 4. I had and he had Brendan Whitcar number 6. I have no ranking next to Jordan Simon and gave Brandon Whitcar the number 20 ranking. So we have different people do the rankings. And West Somerset also a dangerous sophomore for South Adams. So could be a really interesting quarter bracket there for those guys.
Yeah, we'll haven't seen too many of you and Caleb disagreeing too much this year.
No, we usually do. I know we disagreed on Elijah Gall for most of the year. So I think at one point he didn't have Elijah Gall ranked, and he was like 25-0. It's like, this is weird. This is awkward.
Yeah, Jimmy's and Norseman, man. That's been a rivalry for the ages.
I didn't even know.
I'm just making that up.
So I don't have any hate to Chris Stoika of Griffith now.
So 190. We got top quarter bracket, Austin Parks of Northridge. Having a real good senior year. Obviously, wrestling with Hanky all the time. That probably helps him a lot. He has Clayton Holder of Winchester, AJ Shefferly of Belmont versus number 13, the semi-state, RJ Trevino of Oak Hill. That could be a real good 3 and 6 in the semi-state. Possible take-around match there.
Yeah, RJ Trevino has been in the mix the last couple of years, but that's going to be a tough one. Northridge is wrestling really well.
Yeah, that should be good. And then you got Xavier Palacios.
Man, what is he underrated at? Number 8?
Man.
Lenny Razzo, give me the business right now. Underrated at 8?
Yeah.
I'm going to pull it up. Before we even go into this.
Let's see. Number 1's Gunner.
So he's nationally ranked, returning state runner-up. I would assume that you agree that Gunner should be ahead of Xavier Palacios.
Yeah, I would.
Okay. And then let's see, number 2
is Ethan Farnell.
Ethan Farnell, undefeated in your semi-state. We'll find out. We'll see if. But he's also a returning medalist, right?
Top 4 semifinals last year.
Semifinalist.
Number 3 is
Michael White of Lawrence North, 38-0, coming out of Newcastle, also returning state medalist.
Not bad.
Not bad. Number 4, Cesar Salas of Crown Point. Did he wrestle Xavier Palacios? He was the Al Smith champ.
Yes.
So they were in the same tournament.
Palacios lost to Kendricks, who Salas beat.
And then Kyle Harden, a returning state medalist. Not bad. 2 medals there for Kyle Harden.
Yeah.
And then Devin Kendricks of New Prairie, formerly of Mount Vernon, also 2-time qualifier and medalist with a win over Palacios. So I can't put him ahead of Salas.
Yeah.
And then number 7, Noah Terry, also rocking a semifinal medal. I mean, if he had a win of any of those 7 guys, I guarantee I'd move him up.
Yep.
And honestly, like Sam Howard, who's 35-2, has only 2 losses there to Gunnar Henry, a state finalist, and Noah Terry, I think, has a better argument to say that he probably should be moved up because I think he's an All-American, right?
Who?
Kyle or Sam Howard.
Sam Howard, yeah. I think he placed at Fargo last year.
So might be a little overrated, my friend.
Yeah, I'd say he's right in the right spot, where in the right area he needs to be.
I mean, why not just move him to number 1 if he needs to be 4 or 5? I mean,
yeah.
Caesar won the tournament, kind of dominated the tournament he was in.
He lost to Kendricks, so he has to be behind Kendricks. I mean,
we're giving a little insight into
and Colin McMahon. And he's 1-1 with Colin McMahon.
And Colin McMahon's behind him, so
yeah. So yeah. Oh boy. So anyway, can you take this while I delete
comment? So the currently underrated Xavier Palacios at 42-2, junior. He'll have Brogan Parks at West Noble, freshman 18-13 first match, and then he'll have the winner of Brody Burns of Western, senior, 29-8. And then 8th ranked in the semi-state, John Blair of Homestead, a freshman at 190 pounds, 24-15. So you can have 8 and number 2 in the semi-state for a ticket. It'll be interesting there. Moving down to the next quarter bracket, you have sophomore from East Side, 39-7, Job Richmond, ranked number 12 in the semi-state. And the first match will have Fabian Zamuda Gibson of Eastbrook, a freshman, another freshman, 34-10 at 190 pounds. That's pretty impressive. And then they'll have the winner of number 10, ranked in the semi-state, Dylan Kern of East Noble, senior, 28-9, and AJ Myers, number 9 in the semi-state of Jay County. Pretty tough senior. He's battled some injuries in his career, 19-6. So Myers and Richmond, possible ticket round match. 3 guys with rankings next to their name, which is pretty good.
Yep. Yeah, that should be Richmond's wrestling really well right now. One pretty wide open sectional regional and wrestling well at the right time.
I know. Hey, I love it, Lenny. I'm just giving you a hard time. We're just giving you the feedback. We're here to answer questions, my friend.
Yes, and we will answer them.
Yeah.
And you know exactly why we put him where he is. So, I mean, hey, that's why it helps everyone. I mean, it's not a
number 8 on the board, number 1 in our hearts. We're hoping he's going to be in the top bracket. Number 1 on the stand.
Yep. Palacios, did we talk about? Was it on the pre-show or actually live? Because we were talking like he's been sneaky good this year, and kind of I don't want to say underrated, but he's been kind of overlooked with all the other guys at 190, and definitely one that could surprise some people.
Definitely Rex Brewer lets me know every time that Palacios needs to be up higher.
Yes.
Bottom quarter bracket, we already talked about returning semifinalist, senior, number 2 in the state, number 1 in the semi-state, 43-0, Ethan Farnell of Mechaniqua. He'll have Jaden Bush of Fort Wayne, a senior at 17-8, Fort Wayne General Wayne. And then he'll have another bottom quarter bracket. You have Dallas Godby of West Dell, 21-6, and Brecken Moran of Fairfield, senior, 38-4, 19 in the state, 5 in the semi-state. Tough draw there for Brecken Moran. His family, his cousin had a pretty good run at the Fort Wayne semi-state. I'm sure they're hoping that he's going to have that same kind of magic in the Coliseum.
Yep. Yes. His cousin that's pretty decent at wrestling. Now trying out for the NFL. So
not a bad guy.
215. This is an interesting weight class. Ethan Leal, he has some good wins. Snyder has had some good wins, has some kind of interesting losses, and it's like, man, how good is this guy? He ends up winning a solid regional at Carroll. Puts himself in a solid position. Obviously, he's gonna have a tougher match. He's number 10 in the semi-state. He has Craig Rowley of Huntington North, Jake Boots of Bluffton. He'll have Derek Morrison of Wawasee, number 19 in the state. Al Smith runner-up, had a real good Al Smith. If he can kind of continue to wrestle like he did at Al Smith, he'll do some damage here.
A couple things here. Derek Morrison, I like that his last name's in capital letters. I think he's the only person I've seen done that. All caps.
Yes.
So I like that. I would have liked that if he would have wrote his name on his finalist sheet at the Al Smith. I'm in read mode, and I'm like, oh, man, where are we at? So I had to, kind of pause right there. So I appreciate him throwing me that curveball. No, he's super impressive for Wawasee. Really good freshman, sophomore. I don't know if you wrestled Leal at Al Smith. Obviously, he had a really good showing there.
No, he did not, per what I can see.
Next quarter bracket, pretty tough one here too. A couple guys with rankings next to their name. 39-1, junior from North Miami, Hartley Hoover, 13 in the state, 3 in the semi-state. He'll have Jaden Cotron of Carroll of Fort Wayne, a junior. He's 14-10.
Yes.
First match. And then in the bottom quarter bracket, you'll have Wyatt Roach of Yorktown, a sophomore, 13-5, and he'll have a senior, number 8 in the semi-state from Northwood, Brady King, 32-6. 3-6 possible in the ticket round there. Hartley Hoover's had a really good season. Single loss, he's avenged twice now, it sounds like.
Yeah, Hoover. Talking to Salazar at Al Smith, he was really impressed with Hoover. So I'm glad. I'm sure he was glad that Morrison did not draw into him, but pretty solid year. And obviously Brady King will be a good match there. So I got to add a result in there because I did not have the Hoover result.
Next quarter bracket, moving it down, we have Savion Harris of Fort Wayne Northside. Sounds like my accent's coming out. Got a little Chicago up here. Some people like to give me the business. They laugh at that. Senior, 28-7, and he'll have Boston Caldwell of Madison Grant, also a senior, number 16 in the state, 4 in the semi-state, 41-2 on the season. Trading losses with, I think he has both there to Rick Ison. Was that what they said? And then the winner of that will have the winner of Ethan Funk of Adams Central, junior, 30-14, and undefeated senior, 3 in the state, 1 in the semi-state from Northridge, Travis Henke, returning state medalist. He's really good.
Yeah, that should be a solid. Caldwell's a pinner. He has over 100 career pins.
Wow, that's actually really impressive.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's. I can tell you, I coached one kid that had 100 pins.
I did not have 100 pins, if you guys were wondering.
I was close to getting pinned 100 times. A lot closer to that than getting 100 pins.
Yeah, I'd have to actually think about it. I don't want to say that either, though. But that's pretty impressive. I'd be willing to bet the list of guys with 100 plus pins is a lot shorter than the guys with 100 plus wins.
Very much short. That's one I'd like to put together, just because I think that is a pretty impressive stat. The 100 wins.
Or is he just good on top? Or
I don't know because I don't get to see a lot of Madison Grant Argyle matches.
That's pretty impressive, honestly.
Yeah.
Travis Henke's a pretty impressive wrestler, also. That'd be a good ticket round match. I mean, obviously they both have to take care of business in the first round, but man. 100 pins, that's actually probably one of the most impressive things that we've said so far.
Yeah. So go ahead on the last quarter bracket. That'll be a good one.
In the last quarter bracket, we have number 9 in the semi-state, junior, 23-2 from West Dell, Luke Power. He's good on top. Man, hey, you get guys that are good on top, that's a game changer. I think like guys that are like good on top that can pin and like turn guys, I think bottom wrestling is the least practiced spot in wrestling. Everyone wants to go from their feet, but when you're on bottom, everyone's like, "Oh, just stand up." Like, yeah, it sounds like it's easy.
Just stand up. Come on, yeah.
And you get a guy.
Mom's yelling from the stand up. Yep. You know what? I thank you for yelling that because I'm sure he didn't think about that.
And I'm not trying to go on a rant right now in the middle of this 215-pound quarter bracket, but I think that's one of those things. If you really wanted to turn a program. Like take the amount of time, like just learn how to defend on your feet and turn all that time that you use drilling takedowns and start drilling top wrestling and getting pins. I think you would be able to turn your program a lot quicker.
Yep. Cradles are good.
You're going to get 2 opportunities because there's still coaches in the state, even though you have 3-point takedowns that are automatic down.
Yep.
Cool. That doesn't make any sense to me, but that's fine. I'm only an amateur statistician, analytical wrestling mind. But so if you choose top and they go down, you're going to top 2 out of 3. Like you're going to have an opportunity to get that to your strongest position. So if you're a program and you're looking to say, "Hey, I want to be turn our program around as quick as possible," take the same amount of time that you normally would do on neutral and put that on the top and bottom wrestling.
Yep.
Bring in the Latonas. It seems like they do a pretty good job of teaching legs at the Latona camps. Yeah. We're not even sponsored by them, but a lot of guys that go there. The Baileys, Drew Hughes, those guys do a pretty good job.
Yep. Yeah. They, cradles are good. I like cradles as especially for kids that might not be strong enough, might not have the hips for legs and stuff, but cradles are always the great equalizer. You can get some kids that might not be there athletically, but hey, you lock up a cradle,
Yeah. I mean, Maryville was really good at it for a long time. Just kind of finishing that 180 cradle. and just Dave Maldonado showed a way that to finish, and that it makes so much sense. But it was something I had never seen before, and it was like literally the easiest thing, and they always went over. Nick Duke trying to get us sidetracked right now. When the guys are on bottom getting mauled, and they're like hitting them for bottom man stalling. Yeah, that's brutal, man. These kids are trying to defend themselves sometimes.
Yes.
Like
trying to survive.
I think sometimes you can see what stalling is, and sometimes they're not trying to stall. They're just in there like not trying to get killed.
Yeah.
Like, they're not bundled up. They're just like trying not to get hurt. But yeah, if Boston Caldwell's good on top, he might get 2 opportunities to get that. I don't know if
definitely a match I'm going to kind of keep my eye on, just because I don't see Caldwell very much. Seen Hanky wrestle here and there, and that could be a surprise. I mean, not a crazy surprise. Obviously, they both have rankings beside their names, and obviously, like I said, Caldwell has 100 pins. He has 100 pins.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So,
bottom quarter bracket, we talked about Luke Power. He'll have Brady Long of DeKalb, 22-6, senior, 34-4, 22 in the state, 6 in the semi-state. He's had some really good wins. I know he had a win over Morrison early on, coming over a really tough regional. We knew that the guys coming out of that Goshen regional were going to be kind of tough at 215. On the bottom part, you're going to have Aiden Hunt of Garrett, 34-6. He's number 12 in the semi-state. He had a huge win over, I think, Everett McKelland at Al Smith. I know I don't know what he hit, but Nick definitely told us that he hit the same move he hit on somebody else. So he has something in that bag of tricks. We'll probably have to do Newcastle tomorrow. Unless you guys want to stay up to 1 in the morning, we can party. 1 in the morning my time would be 2 in the morning your time.
Yeah.
And then he'll have also Rigelson of Makanaqual, 28-2, number 9 in the state, 2 in the semi-state. A pretty good quarter bracket there. You got 9 and 6 right off the bat, and 12 and 2 ranked in the semi-state per Caleb Spires at calebspires.com.
No, I bought that.
Joe owns that one too.
And the Mike Reiser one.
Yeah, he also owns OTR 219 and OnTheRise219.com.
But I don't have the license plate.
No, I do have the license plate. So if you see my truck broke down, you see OTR 219, stop in, say hi. That'll be a good quarter bracket. I just think there's some interesting matchups there.
Yeah, Hunt's pretty solid. He can kind of be up and down. He was wrestling in the semifinals. He was wrestling well, and then got put to his back. Just kind of got a little lackadaisical, a little bit too crazy. And he's had some good wins. He did lose to Long earlier in the season, but he's one that you can't overlook. You can't look, oh, well, he has 6 losses, and we can't overlook that, or you're probably might end up going home a little bit early. So Ringeisen, solid wrestler. He's been there for a while, so should be a good quarter bracket right there.
Moving on to the big fellas.
The big fellas.
Number 4 in the semi-state, number 2 in the state, number 1 in our hearts. Caleb Evans of Homestead, 39-1. His only loss to Max Forrester of Brownsburg. He'll have Matthew Alberson of Winchester, sophomore, 24-11. I'm sure Caleb Evans won't be looking past him and repeating his semi-state from last year. In the bottom quarter bracket, he has Nolan Hinner of Southwood, a junior at 20-9, and he'll have Dawson Bomber of Concord, a senior, 30-9, number 7 in the semi-state. Kind of touching back on what Evans was in the rankings last year. I think he was that in the first round he wrestled? Yeah, it had to be because Ortiz.
Yeah, first round.
So I'm sure that he's going to be ready to go, try to get past the first round of the semi-state, put himself in position to go down and get a medal.
Yep, definitely.
I agree with that one. Grady Baker is underrated. What would I put? What does he got next to him on before I say that?
And NR.
And NR. Lenny, you are 100% correct. Grady Baker definitely outranked wrestling his rank right now. He's on fire. We're going to talk about him right now in this next quarter brackets. He has a tough one right off the bat. Number 9 in the semi-state, not ranked per this dummy right here. Grady Baker, Belmont Jr. I guarantee he'll be in the rankings next year to start off. So pre-order your preseason magazine. He's 38-5 on the season. He's the Jay County champ, and he'll have Jacob Reynolds of Garrett, a junior, 29-9 on the season. That'll be an interesting matchup right off the bat. Obviously, Jacob Reynolds Mike Poppy trains, so he has to get past that a little bit.
Watch out! What what he's coming with? Baker beat him 6-1 at Team State, so they're very familiar with each other. In a little bit of your defense, I was going to pull up the rankings, where Baker was like right there.
Like I think he had been in the rankings a little bit too.
He's been in the rankings.
Who is his 5 losses to? Because I think there was one that knocked him out. And I was like, I had to.
It was probably the Bryson Davis loss.
Could have been.
He lost to Kuhlman twice, Kaufman, Hillman Conley, Bryson Davis.
Yeah, probably Bryson Davis. Because Bryson Davis, I think, is down towards the bottom of that list.
Kuhlman, he won 3-2 over McGrant. That was one of those hard, tough ones. Let's see. I'm looking at the rankings right now. Got to scroll all the way to the bottom, and he would have been 27 in the way you had it right there. So
we rank him out to about 40 if we can.
Yeah. So he was right on the edge of being ranked. So not like he was way off the list, in number 75. But
he wrestled this Bryson Davis from Fountain Central.
No, that's not Fountain Central. Oh, jeez. No, on here is right. Northwood. It's Northwood.
Northwood. Yeah. So,
yes.
So he'll have the winner of
that
Bryson Davis of Northwood, not Fountain Central.
Yes.
Senior 29-8, or not ranked in the state, but 6th in the semi-state, Patrick Kinney of Tri Central, a junior 42-2. That'd be a good first run. I think Bryson Davis of Northwood is pretty solid heavyweight. And then the winner of that possibly could have the winner of Baker and Reynolds. Obviously, that Baker and Reynolds match first round is going to have some team ranking implications.
Yep. Team State. And I know both teams are always looking for as many points as possible. That's a pretty solid quarter bracket, and you only have 2 guys with numbers beside their names. So, I mean, some close matches, some guys have beaten each other. So that's one that could help you win a pick'ems there. Going down, Brody Streeter, Northridge, number 17 in the state, Thane Jones of Oak Hill. And you got number 25 in the state, Charles McGrant, New Haven.
Bryson Davis is ranked number 21 in the state. All right, I had to double check.
Oh, he is? Okay.
Yeah. I was like, man, I could have swore I had him in the state rankings.
Yeah. I'll have to double. I will fix the bracket then. I will make any notes for myself. Well, he didn't link correctly because it was linking to the Fountain Central guy.
Yep. So I was like, hold on, man. That doesn't seem right.
Sorry about that. I made you look bad.
He might be in the semi-state rankings too, per Caleb Spires.
Yep, he is number 8. So
you'll have 8, 9, and 6 in there. That's a pretty tough quarter bracket. Moving on down, we're gonna have Brody Streeter of Northridge. Northridge coming in hot, closing out these weights. Number 17 in the state, number 5 in the semi-state. He's 15-1. And he'll have Thane Jones of Oak Hill, a junior, 15-5. The winner of that will have number 25 in the state, possibly number 11, Charles McGrant of New Haven, a senior, 32-6, or Cortez White, AJ Bradley trained, upset kid, already knocked off a ranked guy, 32-11. He's out here taking on rankings, said toss the rankings out the window. And so you could have 25 and 17 in the ticket round, but Jones and White are out there trying to break some brackets.
And then we're going to follow that up with the last quarter bracket we'll talk about tonight. And in the best, you couldn't have saved, a better Fort Wayne type bracket. And we kind of knew this was one that could possibly happen. Trevi Hillman Conley having a real good senior year, only 1 loss. He's been in the tick around 3 or 4, at least 2 or 3 times.
I remember Baldwin when he was a freshman. He was like the first heavyweight for Peru to qualify for the semi-state, I believe.
Yeah, I think he's been in the ticket round. I mean, let me double check. But yeah, he'll have Cal Sommer of Elkhart. That's a pretty tough match there.
Yep. Trevi Hillman, Conley's only loss on the season to Cam Hazlett, and obviously we talked about Cam yesterday and the season he's having. But that's not an easy first round matchup.
Yep. Lost to Ethan Dodson last year in the ticket round. Lost to Titus Walters in the ticket round the year before that. And then lost to Ian Clifford in the ticket round. Oh, boy.
Man. I know I posted it for Daniel Mata. And Joe Stanley had messaged me. He's like, this is a brutal draw for Daniel Mata. And I went back, and he was in the ticket round all 3 years also, losing to 2 Crown Point kids the last 2 years. He has a Crown Point kid in the ticket round this year. All guys that had medals. So not a distinction that you want to be a multi-time ticket rounder.
That's pretty impressive, making the ticket round 3 years in a row at heavyweight. His freshman in, and yeah, that's tough. So that should be interesting to see. He'll have the winner of Carson Powell and of Norwell versus Isaiah Kuhlman. Kuhlman, number 3 in the state, lost the past 2 weeks at Evans. Kuhlman's returning state qualifier. So you had Evans over Kuhlman all year until the last ranking or two.
Do you know why? Do you know why this happened?
Caleb.
I was like, Caleb sees these guys more. He's pretty good at the pick'ems. I'm going to take his word on it. I should have went with my guy, Andy Oberlin.
And do you want me to send a sternly worded letter to Caleb?
No, usually I kind of go my own way. And I did something a little different this year. I wanted to even it out a little bit, try to get a winning bracket in every single weight. So I asked those guys.
I think that's a deleted comment.
All right. And then, but that's going to be a tough one, man. That's going to be an incredibly tough matchup. Number 6 in the state, number 3 in the state. And that was just because Cam Hazlett was a little bit lower. I believe he was 5, and he had the win over Trevi Hillman Conley. So it'll be interesting. Like I said, Coleman's a junior, so I'm going to pull for Trevi Hillman Conley there to be one I'll definitely be refreshing looking at. You don't want to see anyone be in the ticket round 4 times. I mean, obviously Kyle Sumner doesn't want him to be in the ticket round 4 times either. But, hopefully he can find a way through. I mean, he can find a way through and possibly win the semi-state. Dude, one of these guys are going to go home, and one of them could be a semi-state champ, honestly.
Yeah. This is a tough weight class, pretty solid weight. And,
this is one of the weight classes you do hope you draw Evansville, right? They're not getting shut off Friday night on that one, I don't think.
Yeah. Evansville's Evansville's lost a couple guys.
Yeah.
So a couple big guys, and they're still pretty tough there. So, so pretty solid semi-state. Team-wise, that's going to be very interesting. And I was talking
what's the power poll say on that?
I'll pull it up right now. Let's see where to go. Rankings, team rankings. Power poll still has, and it's very controversial because Delta's still number 1. They have their horses. That's the thing. They have guys that are going to guaranteed get you some points, and they're right. It'll be interesting to see how that shakes out with them. They're at 101. Homestead is 92, and then New Haven 84. Those are the top 3 teams. New Haven has a couple people that you got Ocampo and Doster that are going to be right there favorites to win. That's huge points. That's about 50 points, 54 points, I think. Let's see. It's 14 plus 6. That's 20 points plus any bonus. So that's 20 points plus bonus. Both of those. They're going to be about 24 points each, 24, 25 points. So you're talking 50 points. You're halfway there. Homestead, they have 13 horses in the race right now, and that's huge. I think we said that last night, that even if, say, 5 guys make it to the ticket round and lose, but if they win by, they get 1 bonus point each, that's 15 points. That's as much as a placer. So that could be huge. And they have some guys that are going to be right in the mix to be in the finals. So, there's going to be a lot of good matches. Power polls doesn't, figure in the bracket. I do have if I can tomorrow night, I'm going to try to. I have a spreadsheet that I can make that I can kind of figure out based on rankings how the matches will go, and I kind of plug them in for every semi-state and see how it would go, based on rankings and if they aren't ranked, their records, and just see how it would figure out. So it could be interesting.
The rankings usually go pretty well.
Yes, they do. So it'll be interesting to see how that shakes out. Not going to be as close, I think, as Newcastle, and we'll talk about that tomorrow, but it could be interesting. It's going to take, winning those first couple rounds. I think Homestead might be able to get some wins early on that could give them an edge if they get some wins with some other guys that just lose in the ticket round. And having 13 guys there, you have 13 chances at state, which is a lot better than the other guys. So,
yeah, I think, especially in the individual side of it, it's going to come down to like how many champs are you going to be able to have, and like obviously getting guys in that semifinals is going to be huge. And I think that's why Delta's always a team that's easy to pick, because they have so many guys, that are hammers, that you expect to be in the finals just based on previous experience, and they lost a guy that's probably in the mix 99% of the time.
Yep. Yeah, that would be. I mean, if they have Boyd, they're going to be a heavy they're going to be a heavy favorite. They're going to win their regional by no doubt. They probably might win their sectional. I don't know what the score was there. So yeah, but they have Wicker number 2, K Jackson number 2, Bollinger number 1, Stebbins number 1, Mosier number 3. Those are 5 guys that are in pretty solid positions to qualify, and that's a decent amount of points for them. So that could be very interesting there. Belmont, I don't think, has 5 guys that can get through there. They have Myers, who's in a tough spot. Frote's in a tough spot. It's going to be a real good match. Wolper, probably a little bit better spot. Davis, Palacios, Baker, I think, are all in good spots. So they're going to have to get some other guys to pull through there, and that's going to be tough. Homestead, they have enough guys in the mix that they can make it interesting.
John Hook, you are correct, sir.
Yep. So I'm looking forward to the Wicker, seeing Wicker in person. I haven't really seen him, so it could be very interesting. Kind of know early on, if he's going to be able to take out Ocampo, hand her first loss. So
she was state champ last year too.
Was she? No,
she
lost to Boyd.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Boyd was there.
Yeah, so she has not had good luck against Delta guys. So she's gonna look for some revenge.
Cody trained.
Yes, so they obviously having that experience will help them a little bit to wrestle her and everything. So should be interesting to see how this semi-state shakes out. Always a fun time. Fort Wayne, nice, comfortable place. I'll be sitting in a nice suite. They'll bring me food and stuff, so I can watch wrestling and relax and have some fun. So, yeah. Anything else you want to say before we head out of here?
No, I think. I think it's pretty straightforward, man.
Yep.
Definitely getting better. I mean, not to like kill Fort Wayne. I definitely see a lot more rankings, see a lot more talent. It goes in waves. I think year in and year out. Like obviously, I see East Chicago a lot, and probably more critical of them. I don't know, a lot of obviously the guys in here love Fort Wayne, and I feel like the more I see the semi-state, the guys I see, I'm more critical of the people that I see more. So I don't know.
Yeah, Fort Wayne, they have a lot of young guys, and they're kind of spread out. They're not just at 106, 113, which is really good to see, and they're having success early on. So I'm excited to see that. And there's a lot of guys, a lot of people, obviously, we promote Andy a little bit, maybe too much.
Sometimes. And Warrior RTC, I think, has done a good job. Is it Warrior RTC? What is it? Warrior what?
Yeah, Warrior RTC. There's a lot of places they can go to. People more down south by Muncie and stuff, they'll go to Contenders and CIA and some of them will go other places like that. So there's a lot of places that they can go and the coaches and stuff are putting the time into it, and it's good to see.
Yeah. I think we kind of talked about it a couple of years ago when the fort was starting to open up before it was even the fort, when it was, what was it, Midwest Training Center, and then it became the fort because of sadness. And then, but I think that when you start getting those guys and they're able to train together and they have like one place, you're not just going to like, hey, I'm going to go to Carroll High School and not to trash the, Railroader Wrestling Club or, the Supercharger Wrestling Club. But if you can get like a general centralized location where everyone can kind of go train, I think we've benefited from that in the region with RWA. And now we have Howe and Midwest with Flieger up there, out towards South Bend. You can definitely tell the areas that are having the academies that the guys are able to train together, because those are the areas that are getting better.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell the areas that don't, because you can kind of see that falling. I think Boiler, Purdue's tried to do it a couple times, but they probably need an academy to go there to help build up the Lafayette area. And I'm sure there's some areas in Fort Wayne that feel similar.
Yep. A lot of those Lafayette guys will go to Indy. A lot of them go to Red Cobra. I think Brownsburg Contenders area is a little bit closer for them. There's some other. Chad Red has a pretty good thing going there. Contenders is great. I'm not going to diss on them, but there's a lot of good places you can go there. CIA holds their own.
I think
Red's one that's sneaky good. If you look at some national level guys that train there, he's had a lot of success coaching. I would never say that one place is the place to go. And Contenders, they're doing well. They have
they've done
1,000 locations.
and obviously sometimes it's a numbers game. They've done a phenomenal job. I think Ryan and Sean and those guys put together a huge product. Yeah, Outlaws have done well. The Baileys are doing really good with teams and putting stuff out there. CIA, like obviously they've had some guys with some really good college success. Brandon Wright's, I see some of his stuff on TikTok and Facebook, and it looks like he does a pretty good job. Yep. I know Joey Butler's was going the right way a lot. Yeah, I mean, and that's huge too. Like 7 days a week. I would say Braylon Reynolds probably sings the praises of Chad Red. I would say if you ask Brayton Lee, like where would he want you to train, I'd be willing to bet he says Chad. Leighton Jones.
Yeah.
I mean, I think sometimes you have to look at like who are the last handful of All-Americans for Indiana. Obviously, Jesse's there right now, and Jesse trained at RWA with Alex and Stefan and Jason. Stefan's a world champ. He was an RWA guy. Jason Search is an NCAA champ. He was a RWA guy. I mean, I think I asked this before. Did old boy from Ben Davis, did he end up getting an All-American the COVID year?
No, he did not.
Okay. He got
the COVID All-American where they handed out the top seeds and stuff. Yes.
So like club wise, like who are the all like Division I All-Americans? I think that's what everyone's thinking their middle school kid or elementary school kid is going to be the next whoever, right? Like nationally ranked. The next Jesse Mendez right now, right? And I don't know, and we kind of talked about in the pre-show. I don't know who the next Jesse Mendez is. I'm sure Carver probably feels that they're right there. But as like a 7th and 8th grader, Jesse was winning IHPO, beating state champs at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Beat Jacob Moran. I mean, Carver is really good. He's going to be right in the mix next year to right in the mix wherever he's at. He's incredibly talented. And he's wrestled a lot of those guys already and has good results over them. But All-American wise, like who are the All-Americans? Mason Paris trained in Ohio, right?
Yep, he trained at Invicta, I believe. You got Mendez, Davison.
Both RWA guys. Davison was kind of Chesterton with his dad.
Paris, Nick Lee. That was he trained Moran and Mauer Coughlin. Mauer Coughlin does a really good job too. If you're down south, I'd definitely go there. I want to say something about Outlaws. Outlaws always sneaky good, and it's one that you don't really think about too much until you see them. Like, man, you always kind of forget them because they're not. I think they have kind of a private, more Facebook group. They're not out there promoting and stuff, but man,
You got invited to Elite Eight duels, which is pretty
Yeah.
impressive.
Yes. So Drew Hildebrandt, Brayton Lee.
Well, Drew had been Midwest Extreme with just out of the club.
Sarah Hildebrandt trained.
Yeah.
But Brayton Lee, Red
Cobra,
Michich,
RWA.
Michich Lee, Red, Surtsis,
RWA.
Surtsis, Howe.
Overtime in Illinois.
Yeah. Adam Chalfant, Farm.
Yeah. I don't know her. Yeah. CIA got Jacob Gray.
Yeah.
I mean,
Matt Paulus. And then we're getting down to 2010 and stuff. So the only one really, I mean, who's the one that has the multiple different AAs? It would be kind of an RWA or Red. So
yeah. And like obviously like I'm not saying like, and dude, I'm not saying that. So I have a hard time saying, I guess this is a rant. I have a hard time saying this is the only way it can be done, right?
Yeah.
And I had that same conversation 10 years ago when they were telling me RWA was the only way it could be done.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Then how is Weaver doing it?
Yeah.
Who's the? I think he goes CIA. Is he a CIA guy?
Yeah, I think they go to CIA.
So if there's only one way to do it, how is he getting it done?
Yeah.
How is, insert a name that's going to have a state title that's not in there. Like Kevin English does a good job with the Elite. Like Ashton Jackson had a really nice career. Hayden DeMarco was under the lights last year. They've done a really good job. You can look at what they're doing at the Lowell program. I think to say like there's only a singular way to do it is just like you're buying some Kool-Aid right now.
Yeah.
I agree. I had this same conversation, what do we say, 10 years ago with Eric McGill when he told me, like, if you don't go to RWA, then you're never going to be a state champ. And I was like, cool, how is this guy, and this guy doing it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know. It's for me, it's hard to, like, do that. Like, everyone's going to have their own path.
Mm-hmm.
Like, obviously, you coached guys that were champs. They weren't going to Contenders or CIA. They were, going to Joe Caprino.
Yeah.
Y2CJ. 41.
That's the thing I see. Too many people think that there's a cookie cutter way to succeed in I say in football and wrestling, baseball, whatever. You got to do baseball. Oh, you got to do travel teams since you're 5. No, you don't. You don't have to. And each kid's different.
Yeah.
And I'll just give you. I'll go. I mean, we'll go on this rant. It's a fun one. I like with my son. He loves baseball. He would rather just do. At this age, he's 8 years old. So he would rather do baseball year round, but I'm not going to let him do that. It's a little young for that. He kind of tolerates wrestling. He doesn't mind it. He goes to practice. About 2 years ago, he had a tournament he went to and went 0-4, got beat up a little bit. Didn't really like to compete, but I'm like, you're still going to go to practice. And reluctantly, he agreed. There was some forcing of it. And he's the type like, if I said we're not going to practice because we're going to a Carroll wrestling match, he'd rather go watch the wrestling than go participate. And so this year he ended up wrestling in the tournament, did really well, kind of got a little bit of an itch. And I think he's starting to get a little bit of the itch, but I'm not going to push it because there's no need to at this age.
I think the other hard part is, as a parent, if you are sure maybe your kid will get really good at whatever club, you can put blank.
Yeah.
If everyone's going to this club and your kid's doing the same thing and those kids are constantly ahead of them, and like, what are you going to do to be ahead of those kids?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are you changing if you're constantly training with the same kids all the time?
Mm-hmm.
And like, okay, cool. And we're incredibly lucky where I'm at because you can go into Illinois, you can go into Chicago. I know a lot of those guys in the early 2005. I mean, Kyle Ersman will probably tell you that Sean Bourmet won him 3 titles. They were going to overtime a ton. Mm-hmm. And he had an incredible system, but some of those guys were able to go to, Providence, New Lenox, and they were able to go to the Harvey Twisters and get a different look. And they're able to go, to whatever club was there. CIA was here with Ed, or, so I think that like, you have to like look at it and kind of, like, if you're like, this is, and then you might also get, kind of big brothered in there a little bit. You kind of see in the state finals from year to year, you're seeing guys that are in the same club and they wrestle phenomenal against a lot of people, and they get to guys that they wrestle in the room every day, and then they shut down.
Mm-hmm.
And I bet if you ask some of those parents that have been in those matches, I bet they wish in hindsight they could have took their kids somewhere else and not trained with their. I know it was happening in RWA at one point where they were getting very defensive of who was doing privates with their coaches, and were they spending more time with wrestler A and not enough time with wrestler B? Are some of these practices geared towards wrestlers A's problems and not towards wrestler B's problems?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that like there's a bigger picture of I think academies are good. I think that like it's making, but also bad. It's making some of the coaches that used to have to go out and grind and like help all their kids get better become lazy and let like just your kids, good kids, go get better somewhere else and not help your average kids get better. And then just say, well, go to an academy. And it's like,
yeah,
I don't know if maybe. I mean, every kid is different, but I think that like there's going to be kids that win state titles in 2 weeks, and you're going to be like, oh man, where'd that kid get good at? And it's going to be, oh, like wherever they found a path. Nick Lee was working with Miron and, you know, Maurer Coughlin. And then like, was that the only path that they could have taken?
Yeah. And Mitrich
success.
Mitrich is one that has a cool path of just, and you look at Nick Lee and Mitrich are ones that I like to point out because they weren't the ones getting 150 matches a year and stuff. And I know some people push that, and I'm more of the thinking that training is good. And if your kid needs to love to train, and then the matches can come later. So it's one of those things. It's everyone. We did that post where people were saying, oh, you need to get 100 matches. And we listed all the top guys, and it was about 50-50 of guys who would wrestle through their youth years had over 100 matches.
I would tell you, I mean, we've done this. How long? I've done the rankings since what, 2008?
That sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah. Give or take.
No, not in 2008. We didn't have it in 2008.
Whenever I've been doing the rankings for a while.
11 or 12.
And I try to like track a lot of like youth stuff and see where it's at. Like, especially when I'm like low on a weight class, I'll look back a couple years and you see a lot of kids that were wrestling a lot that end up fading.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, I'm seeing kids that like were middle school state champs, ISWA Triple Crown winners that are fading. You're not seeing the improvement. Like, do you want your kid to peak at 7th grade, 8th grade? Or is your goal for them to be an NCAA champion?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we have incredible everyone's like kind of in their fishbowl, right? And this becomes like how Indiana's viewed. Well, our top guy, like this guy would go out and kill, and they fade into college, and you don't ever know what happened to them because we look at it in a very fishbowl point of view. And we're pretty lucky that we get a national perspective and we get like pretty good access to the elite of the elite. Mm-hmm. And we're able to talk to those parents, and we're able to talk to those coaches and just kind of pick their brain and see, you know, what are their thoughts. I think it's incredibly. I mean, we talked about it with the holdbacks. It's incredibly crazy to me that like they're saying, "Well, my kid loves to wrestle." Like, cool, he might like that right now, but like, let's see if he likes that. We just talked about it with cutting weight. You see these guys fading right now, right? Like, mm-hmm. You see guys fading in a 4-month window to like that, to the point where they're like, "Hey, I'm going to miss weight and lose a season. I'm going to quit the night before." And I'm not putting anybody out there, but like you're asking 14-year-old kids to like make decisions for themselves. Cool. Do you let your kid tell you what time he goes to bed? And what if your kid had a beer? You're going to be like, oh, that's cool. He's making his own decisions. He just likes to drink. He likes to crack a cold one on Tuesdays. You don't do that, right? What if he wants to eat chocolate all day? Like you're like, well, you know, he's a kid. I just let him do what he wants.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't work like that.
No, it doesn't. If you let the kids rule the world, they're having ice cream for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Yeah, like academies have been great, and I think those areas that have strong academies have gotten a lot stronger. But to say like that's the only way, I think is very close-minded to what you're doing.
Yeah.
And I like those guys. I support those guys as much as anybody else. But at the end of the day, there's going to be Contenders has 3 locations now, and then we're just kind of spinning back to what they were saying. I'd be willing to bet they probably have, let's say, 100 kids at every location. There's not going to be 100 kids that are going to be state champs.
Yeah. There's only going to be 14 this year from my calculation. So, yeah. And someone was talking about where'd Riley Lefevre train. Riley, dude, if you want to know a story, and I'd love to have the Lefevres on, but they had the twins who were basically one person, and then you had Riley. And I'll give you a quick synopsis on their careers and their paths to success. The twins, they love to wrestle. From the first time I met them was like, I think it was 8th grade. I'm like, man, these guys are tough. They're mean. They just love to wrestle. And they're twins. They just fought with each other, compete with each other. And they would go anywhere, everywhere to wrestle, whether it's practice, to compete. They would go to every local tournament possible. Riley, I heard that they had a younger brother for the longest time, and I never saw him. And finally, he'd come around every so often. And I know the twins would push him a little bit, but, hey, do you want to go to this tournament? And he's like, nah. Do you want to go to practice? Nah. And after a while, they kind of just, okay, if he doesn't want to go, he doesn't go. And finally, like his sophomore year, he decided that he was going to start going all in on wrestling and end up practicing a lot and doing really enjoying practice, getting that after practice, did more competitions, still wasn't competing as much as the twins were. And then all of a sudden, sophomore to junior year, he made a huge leap. Junior to senior year, made a huge leap. And then after in college, he made a really big leap and ended up wrestling at Penn State for 3 or 4 years, training with some good guys there, some decent wrestlers at Penn State, and got paid to wrestle at Penn State for 4 years.
And I guess like success is relative to whatever you want. Who do you think is the best wrestler in NCAA right now, pound for pound?
Gable.
And where did Gable grow up at?
Maryville.
And what was his club called? Do you remember?
Nomad
Elite.
What?
Nomad Elite.
Yes.
They just go jump room to room, and they only had a couple kids that would go with them. Dude's the Olympic champion.
Yeah.
Do you think that they're like, well, we had to go to whatever academy and do this? Probably not. And his brother was really good. And his older brother was really good.
Yeah.
So is it the easiest? I don't know. I'm not going to answer every single comment in the comment at 10, 11 o'clock at night, but almost midnight for you guys. But I think that, it just depends on what your goal is, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And it's different for each kid. I mean, some kids love just to wrestle. And like I said, with the Lefevres, the twins, they just love to wrestle. And they would do it every day. They would not get burnt out. The only time they almost got burnt out is when they were forced to cut a ton of weight. And that's when they almost quit the sport. Then when they didn't have to cut weight, they actually started enjoying it. But they just love to wrestle. And they would do it. They would go to every local tournament possible. They'd go to every national tournament. Hey, you want to go to Fila Juniors or Fila Cadets? Yeah, sure. Let's go. Not even like you have to ask your parents. Nah, they'll allow us. That they would commit before. And so I'd have to text their parents like, hey, your kids want to go to this tournament. Like, okay. So it's one of those things that every kid's different. And I don't think I hate when people say this is the only way you can have success, because it's not. Yeah. And I don't care whether it's saying, oh, you got to wrestle 150 matches a year, or it's you have to go to this club, or you have to do this or that. There's a lot of kids that, dude, the Weavers, dude, where did Weaver come from? I mean, I know his dad wrestled at Purdue and stuff, but he he was decent as a sophomore, state qualifier. Last year as a junior, really came on, and then all of a sudden now he's really, really good. It's like, this guy we weren't talking about 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's one of those things that you don't have to do what everyone else is doing, and to each their success is going to, everyone can take a different path to success. And I don't like pigeonholing yourself and saying you have to do this and that. And it frustrates me beyond belief that people think that there's only one way, and there's not. There's 101 ways, and each kid's different. I've coached enough kids, and some kids you can yell at and get on them really hard. The other ones you can't, or they'll clam up. Every kid's different, and if you don't modify that kind of training and stuff to them, you'll have kids that don't reach their potential. So,
kids don't get burnt out. Parents do. That's not true.
Yeah.
There's a lot of kids that are burnt out right now, and it's not because of their parents.
Yeah.
I can tell you 5 conversations that I had this week of guys that were done, kids that were done, and it wasn't because their parents were on them at all. It wasn't that at all. So you can go back 3 shows and watch why kids get burnt out of a sport when you're asking 15 to 18-year-old kids to not eat for weeks and not drink and still go to school and do well. And, some of those kids are spending 16-hour days. So you ask anyone to do 16-hour days. If I asked you to do 5 16-hour days, there's not a person in this chat that would do it for 3 months.
Yeah, no.
And if you tell me you are, then good for you, man. I love your grind.
Yeah.
I think I don't know. And then what's the goal off of that, right? Is your goal to be the best in Indiana? Is your goal to be an NCAA champ? Is your goal to be an Olympic champ? I would be willing to tell you that I know that Jesse wants to be a world champ. He wants to be an Olympic champ. Yeah. NCAA champs are great. I think he loves being the NCAA champ. I think that you're looking at a guy that wants to be a world champ. He's wanted to be a world champ since he was a kid.
Mm-hmm. And he's been training for that.
Yeah. I mean, Nick Lee wanted to be a world champ from day one. Stefan wanted to be. Stefan was going to Russia or something when he was a high school senior. That guy wanted to be a world champ. He's a world champ. I don't think he even cared. He probably cares, but he didn't win it as a freshman. Everyone was on Nathan Boston, and he was the biggest club guy, and they were going to bring Joe Dubuque in, and they were the only way to do it was that way, right? It was the only way that the Bostons were doing it. And then Stefan did it a different way, and he ended up winning a couple titles, and he's the world champ, and he's giving back to the sport, which is really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Nick Lee, one-time state champ.
One-time
didn't even wrestle. Didn't even care. I don't want to say he didn't care, but he didn't even – it didn't matter to him winning another state title. He went and trained for a year. Yeah. Did get any – I don't know if I think he wrestled a little, maybe did Who's Number One, maybe did a couple other little things. Maybe that whole year he might have gotten 10 competition matches, and look, 2-time state champ or national champ at Penn State and world team member.
Got a couple rings.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I said, your success is relative to what you want. And I think there's a lot of ways to get there. I would, and those guys are all pretty good guys, right? I think those are all good dudes. They're not jerks. If you see one of those guys out there, just go ask them what their thoughts are.
Yeah.
Stefan will tell you. Brayton will tell you. I mean, Brayton was at Team State. You can go up and ask him, what does he think?
Yep. Yeah. And I'm sure you could talk to those guys and what would you do differently? Would you do something differently with your kids, or would you do the same? Some might say the same, some might say differently. And, it's also, as I said, even with my son, you got to play it by ear. You got to okay, maybe competitions right now aren't for him, but hey, let's get him to practices. I was talking to Snyder, and I was talking about my son. He's like, oh yeah, he's really into baseball and stuff. Oh, my son never really did much wrestling. He's like, is he wrestling? I go, yeah, he goes to practice. He's like, that's better. My son was at that age. He's like, I wish I had got my son just to go to practice. I don't care about the competitions, and that kind of stuff is always crazy. But same time, it's just, you got to feel for what your kid is doing at this time at whatever age they're at. And sometimes you got to push, sometimes you got to just let them kind of make a little bit more of the decisions, but you're kind of still driving. They can help steer, but you're still driving. So
I think one of the more interesting things we were talking to Hector, and I was like, what did you think? He's like, I never wrestled. I don't care. I gave them to guys that knew what they were doing, and I was never the parent that was messing them up. I was there to support them. We'd drive to meets. I'd tell them, hey, there's going to be an interview at the end of this tournament. You should work on your interview. Let's work on your interview. And like he he was as active on the side as anybody, right?
Yeah. Yes.
He was as active in the show. I don't remember him telling anyone like what they should be doing. He was as big a RWA guy as probably anyone in the state. I don't remember him ever like saying, "Oh man, dude, we talk to Jesse all the time." I still talk to Jesse. Like, you remember Jesse? Like, you need to go to RWA. Only way to go.
Yeah.
He's home, like wrestling with Jason and Sergio Lemley, who was a Division I guy who beat Real Woods last year. None of those guys are like, this is the only way to do it. Mm-hmm. Even the RWA guys are like, yeah, man, Andrew Howe's really good. If you can get something from Andrew Howe, you should probably go there too.
Yeah.
You got NCAA champs like teaching guys how to wrestle, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. So it's, I guess the moral of the story is there's no cookie cutter way. And that's for anything in life.
And if you think it is, then this, not to like talk trash, and anyone can take it any way they want.
Yes.
15 years ago, everyone was CIA.
Yep.
You seen orange and blue everywhere.
Yeah.
Everyone was CIA. And we were talking about it now. I don't know if I'm not sure what the CIA goes, but it's not as prevalent as it was.
Yeah.
And probably 20 years ago, everyone was the Michiana Wrestling Club with Tom Dowley.
Striker.
And they were putting all the guys in D1.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who's in the Michiana Wrestling Club now?
Yep. Oh yeah, that was a tough club. Or was it Striker? Striker had some kids that were always pretty good. I think they kind of had a small private type thing, but man, you saw those Striker shirts, you're like, oh crap, we're in trouble. But yeah. It goes in waves. And right now, Contenders is really good. But
they're awesome, and they have awesome guys. Those guys are awesome people, man. I really like those guys.
Yep. I would not hesitate to send my kid to them. I would not hesitate to send my kid to Red. Red's, once you in on Red, dude, that dude would lay down his life for you. I'll say that much. And he will support you, and he'll do what he needs to do to help you out. So I mean, there's a lot of good people there, and I mean, there's a lot of places I'd send my kid. So
yeah, and even like here, like we're right here next to Chicago. Harvey Twisters were the best. They had world champs, Olympic champions, guys that were constantly in the Olympics, Greco, and then it was all of a sudden it was Oak Park River Forest. It was Izzy trained. Mm-hmm. Now it's none of those, right?
Yeah,
but like, to pivot to that, like if someone asked me in the Indy area, like where they should take their kid, and my buddy did, I said, take them to Contenders.
Yeah.
Here's Sean's number, reach out, maybe you can get some private lessons. So
yeah.
I think what those guys are doing is great. So, but to say it's the only way, I think it's crazy.
Yep. So with that, good half-hour rant.
Yeah.
Just as we planned. So we're going to get out of here. We'll be back tomorrow for
talk about Newcastle.
Yep. And talk about Newcastle. Hopefully a little less ranting. Maybe.
We'll see.
So, but thank you guys for joining us, and we will